Live from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, a new season of Monday Night Action ready to kick off here on Green Flag TV. Welcome to the Guardian Autosport 250 and to the season opener from the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs, the Guardian Premier Series. My name is Will Rambo alongside Austin Edstrom. We bring you all of racing action here on this fantastic afternoon. And Austin, it's good to be back. 250 miles, 100 laps. Ready to take flight here this afternoon for this 2.5 mile behemoth. We know it, we love it. It's Daytona.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this one started. We had some crazy dual races last week. Very last second pass with one car running out of gas while another beaten up car is passing them 30 seconds off the back of the field at the end of last week just to make the race. That's Nick Osipek starting in last place tonight. But hey, he's made the field, given himself an opportunity. And I think that this race is going to be way more exciting than the duels even were. I mean, these guys are going to be going at it. Maybe a little bit of saving in there early going, but man, whenever we get down to the nitty gritty, this race, it means a lot by the end of the day.
It means a lot, and you know for a fact that we're going to be getting a lot of really intense racing action here this afternoon. A lot of drivers are ready to rumble. 43 cars with some in reserve in the event that some of those 43 could not make the show this afternoon. So that's how you know we're going to be in for an absolutely wild ride this afternoon. 43 ARCA cars. When's the last time anybody has ever said that for a race at Daytona? Has to have been at least since the late 2000s, maybe the early 2010s, but you know, we got a full schedule ahead of us, right? We kick things off this afternoon at Daytona, followed up by Atlanta, then a one-week break for Easter. That'll be followed up then by Bristol, Darlington, Rockingham, Texas, Auto Club, Mid-Ohio, Vegas, Dover, Homestead, Richmond, Michigan, Phoenix, and Charlotte. And that's just in the regular season, taking us straight through to the first week of August.
Yeah, so we got a long season here, right? Starting in April, we're going to be running all the way through into, September, October by the end of the season. So, long season here, but you always want to start off on the right foot, right? You want to have a decent race here at Daytona, and obviously it's a bit of a wild card. You could just get caught up in somebody else's incident at some point here tonight, but you want to keep that nose out of trouble. Just give yourself an opportunity to be in position at the end to at least have a chance and at least pick off, a top 10 finish at the end of the night or something. But that's easier said than done with a field of 43 cars. So we'll see some different strategies. I think some people are going to be running pretty hard at the front of the field, but we're also going to see a decent single file train at the back of cars that are probably just thinking, I want to save my car until the end of this thing.
You see right now down on the racetrack, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a very, very ideal track temps. It's a perfectly clear skies, not a single, so much as a wisp of a cloud in sight. There could be no better possibility of a day for racing action, right? It's very pleasant in the air. The track is just right. The conditions are perfect, and while it may be storming outside up here in British Columbia, I tell you what, Florida is looking very, very beautiful right about now, and I know for a fact that these drivers are in for a good one, and it almost makes me forget the rain pattern on my window outside.
A little sunnier down in Daytona here today, and man, it's a beautiful sight we got looking out over the Daytona. Yeah, just a little bit. A beautiful sight we got looking over there, Lake Lloyd in the distance on the back straightaway, and the beautiful infield grass here at the Daytona International Speedway. Another 30 seconds or so until the cars are going to start gridding, but once that happens, another 2 minutes, and then we're going to be off to the races. And like I said, this one's going to be a very, very fun one at the end of the day. I know we're running a little bit shorter fuel cells. I believe we could make it about 30 laps, 25 to 30 laps. I think was about what we were looking at during the dual races last week. So expect those pit stops every 25 to 30 laps here. So if we run green the entire way through, I'm expecting a 3-stopper. But I also think, if the caution flags are coming out frequently, come down pit road every chance you get. Put fuel in it. Make sure you can go as long as possible under the green flag.
With all that said and done, we are ready to rumble this afternoon. Let's take a rundown of what your starting grid's going to look like as we get set to kick off the 4th season of High Tide Racing League action on Green Flag TV. Started on pole position this afternoon, Dual one qualifier was Dalton Kilrow, qualified on a pole with the duels last week. Jacob Locklear qualified second. He'll start in the number 2 spot. Dual 1 winner Michael Keith will be down in third, with Michael Thorpe Jr. Taking it up in the number 4 spot. From there, it's going to be Sean Williams and Aaron Smith on row number 3. Row 4 holds Michael Ashmore and Christopher Bassinger, with Ethan Sikorsky and Nicholas Coruscant bringing up the top 10.
In the 11th place spot, it's going to be Jaden Hopp with Dustin Ping on his outside in 12th place. Scott Schuer starting on the inside of row number 7, with Austin McGill on the outside in 14th. Hayden Wheeler going to be starting on the inside in the 15th place position, with James Efaw in 16th place. 17th is going to be the number 1 of Ty Marasco, starting behind his MFRD teammate. And then starting in 18th place is going to be Paul Savamary, 19th, David Leakey. 20th, Anthony Cameron.
Paul Wilson brings it up in 21st alongside MFRD's Derek Paulson. Rookie Matt Crockett brings it up in 23rd alongside Jeremiah Hobbs. Jonathan Canfield starts at 25th alongside Season 1 champion Benjamin Lacey. Nick Nickerson is down in 27th with Carter Phillips in 28th. And that brings up Brian Dees in 29th, and Eddie Hagge closes out the top 30.
31st is Jason Greenwell with Mike Massengill lining up in the 32nd place spot. Adrian Loya in 33rd with Bob Berry on the outside in 34th. Nick Osipek, the last man in off of the dual race number 2 last week, in 35th. Joey Neese in 36th. Connor Gibson lining up in the 37th place spot with Kevin Coburn in 38th. Brad Lawson in 39th. With William Turnbull rounding out the top 40. Kevin Foster's going to be starting in 41st, with Mark Allen Bivens in 42nd and Wyatt Walker in 43rd.
Conrad Whedon, Cody Kinsey, Matt Sotomayor, Caden Gargiulo, and John Osborne were all slated to potentially make starts if the 43 did not appear, but seeing as they are all present, we are going to be in for racing action this afternoon. So with all that said and done, we are just about ready to rumble this afternoon. Austin, a lot of rookies on the grid this afternoon. Drivers like Joey Neese, Kevin Coburn that just barely made the show with a lot to prove this afternoon. You got returning champions like Lacey, like your defending champion Kilrow, and the Season 2 champion Dustin Ping. Everybody's got something to prove, and for Dalton Kilrow, he's going to have to prove that he still deserves to maintain his run for the championship up front.
Yeah, and going down the back straightaway, you know, you were mentioning a couple people that weren't in the race, but they were in here as reserves. One of them was out there. Paul Wilson was out on the racetrack. He just got removed from the server. And I think we said Caden Gargiulo didn't make the top 43 either, but he's still out on the racetrack. So maybe there was one person filling in. I'm not quite sure, but Gargiulo is out there ready to take the green flag.
Well, whatever the case, the field will work itself off of turn numbers 3 and 4. And we are ready to rumble. As a brand new season of Monday Night Action ready to rumble to life, we'll enter the Geico Restart Zone. It's time to go, go, go for the Guardian Autosport 250!
Pretty orderly start coming down the first short chute, down into turn number 1, James Hopp side by side. Into the corner, he's got the 81 on his outside. Dustin Ping in the second place position, trying to keep the lead around the outside, coming through turns 1 and 2 for the first time here tonight. Outside line lined up really well for the first 3 cars. Looking at the 81, the 41, and the 31, pushing down the back straightaway, trying to take the lead.
Firing down the back chute for the first time this afternoon. Conrad Whedon has also made his way out of pit road, as has Jeremiah Hobbs. So those are going to be 2 more drivers that will get the chance to race in the 250 here this afternoon at Daytona and the National Speedway, although a long way to go as they're both playing catch-up at the tail of the field. Lap 1 in the books, and the first official points race of the season has 1 lap down, and leading that lap is going to be Dustin Ping, taking it over from defending champion Dalton Kilrow.
Yeah, Ping 4/1000ths over Kilrow, and I think these are your last 2 champions actually in the HTRL. The High Tide Racing League here tonight. So Ping, Kilrow, your last 2 champions, heading up the front 2 rows, and last time by, or last lap going into 3, Ping just got clear, coming down to the corner, able to clear himself across the nose of Jaden Hopp, and now he's side by side with that reigning champion here, Dalton Kilrow, on the outside. Kilrow's got a good push from Connor Gibson. Gibson not leaving the back bumper of the 41. They lose a little bit of ground through 3 and 4 as Ping finally clear of both lanes, deciding to stay with the bottom for now. The bottom just a little bit better lined up, and the outside line not moving down the straightaways like I typically am accustomed to seeing them.
William Turnbull caught the outside wall, pretty fierce coming off of turn number 2, and we nearly had caution flag number 1 of the afternoon. Take a look at this one as the GGA Esports 714 for the Vector Pin of the Mustang. Going to come out of turn number 2 here and catch the ball once and then overcorrects and slaps into it again. And big credit to the 78 of Austin McGill right behind him. Could have run him over, and in most cases probably would have run him over, but he managed to check it up in time and keeps that from being a big wreck. And now we are working lap number 3 as a result under green.
Front 2 now, single file. Justin Ping, Jaden Hopp on the bottom side of the racetrack have pulled clear Dalton Kilroe. Kilroe trying to get the run off of turn number 4. They get 3 wide behind him, though. Could kill the run. Instead, the 0-0 pulling up from the second place spot on the inside. He's going to take that run with Kilroe. Jaden Hopp, he didn't want to run in second. He's looking for the race lead coming down into turn number 1, and he's clear.
Jaden Hopp, by far one of the most anticipated appearances here in season number 4. Made quite the entrance and made a lot of noise in his part-time run around the back half of season number 3. Derek and I were constantly touting him as one to watch, and he is who we believe will be the next big threat to Dalton Kilroe's title here, potentially even more so than drivers like Dustin Ping. So Jaden Hopp now leads the way, and he'll lead some of his first laps of the new season with Dustin Ping not going to take it lying down, as it is veteran versus rookie off of turn 4.
Yeah, I don't think that Ping liked hearing you say that, because he immediately went to the outside as soon as you said it and said, I'm going to take that race lead right back away from Jaden Hopp, and I'm going to prove that I'm the man that is going to be challenging Dalton Kilroe for the title this year. And again, those are the 2 guys up at the front of the field, side by side, for the race lead here in the early going. Still only on lap number 5, so still early days in this one. I'm not surprised to see Kilroe, Ping, Hopp, those 3 up towards the front, fighting at the front of the field. Even in the early going, I think that they're going to be, a problem for the rest of the field over the course of this entire night. And especially if we stay in this kind of 2x2 style of racing, right? It's almost gridlock right now, but I do think that most of these guys are just playing it safe. I think we can get 3 wide. I think the car has it in it. It's just, don't make any ridiculous moves before the first pit stop. You want to get at least a little bit in this race before you make a big mistake.
So far, it's been very orderly. 2 lines running single file all the way throughout. And again, no surprise here in this one, right, Austin? I mean, we kind of expected this to be how the opening salvo of laps would go. Everybody's taking it very easy. Nobody's looking to put together any big risks. We do have a few drivers that have dropped off of the tail of the field. This is Matt Sotomayor, just barely made the show this afternoon. He would have been out, but some drivers did not make the call. And in fact, right now, to update you guys on the drivers that did not make it in, Nick Nickerson, Jacob Locklear, Bivens, and Osborne, a couple of those did actually manage to race into the duels, but they were not able to make the starting call. So that is why Sotomayor now is in the field. Bob Berry, one of the last contenders to make it into the duels, is in this pack, along with James DeFaw, Kato Gargiulo, who you called out earlier, and Aaron Smith, a driver that is usually near the front, but well, that pace that helps him so much on short tracks and intermediate tracks. Not much help here at Daytona when you drop off and lose the draft. You've also got Conrad Whedon and Jeremiah Hobbs. They had to start their race down from pit road this afternoon. And then Jonathan Canfield did make his way onto the racetrack for a moment, and he has since taken it back down to pit road and towed. So we are down to just 42 cars on this race. And the 43rd driver, Canfield, he didn't ever complete an official lap, so I don't think he's on the scoring pylon yet.
Yeah, I'm showing 5 laps down now for Canfield. We're on lap 7, so I guess he completed 1 lap. I don't know. Either way, tough to join the race and have to leave right off the bat, or I can't quite tell what happened to Canfield. I tried going back and looking at it before he said anything.
CPU issues. He just confirmed in our YouTube chat.
That sucks.
Tough
You make
break.
the race, you do all the work to make the race, and you get right before it, and all of a sudden your PC hits the crapper. That's a tough break.
Yeah. It's a tough break, but such is the way sometimes, as field still works double file down the back straightaway. Now, for reference on how the pit stop window is going to shake up, these guys could not go a full distance for a 30-lap duel on fuel. We had guys running out, and that was, we had people running out on that final lap of the race. Even with people having been lifted out, it only coasted about half throttle for a good chunk of that duel as well. So we're looking 15 to 20 laps tops on field numbers.
I would say 20-25. I said 25-30 earlier, but I forgot about how much fuel saving was going on. There were people that couldn't make it to the end, right? We had people make it to the end. They were just so far off the pace. So they made it 30 laps. I would say there's probably 25 laps in the tank if you're running all out. If you can, I think saving 5 laps over the course of 30 makes a decent amount of sense here in the ARCA car around Daytona. So I'd be looking around lap 23 to 25, but I would try to push it as far as possible, right? I want to be able to cut this race into quadrants rather than quintuplets, right? I would much rather pit 3 times than 4. And if you pit on lap 25, 50, 75, that's only 3 pit stops. If you're pitting on lap 23, you got to fit a 4th pit stop in there somewhere.
Elton Kilroe leads the way up on the top shelf. Right now, the primary pushers is one of them being the Canadian, Connor Gibson. Gibson really didn't make a lot of friends at the end of last season, did he? I mean, he really got the elbows out a good bit, and he's going to have to keep an eye on himself and watch his back, or he might find himself in trouble. And, of course, Jaden Hopp also trying to the inside. We got 3 wide deeper in the field, and I think somebody got shuffled out. Not sure who that is. That is the 78. That is Austin McGill. The other Canadian, one of the 3 Canadians in the field that was just sent towards the tail as well.
He's able to find a hole eventually there on the back straightaway. He was able to get back in line. And again, we're just kind of in the early going. You're just trying to keep the draft to make sure that you're not involved in the accident at this point. So if you're McGill, just find yourself a safe spot. Don't worry too much. The only guys that are really racing are about the front 3 or 4, right? You got Kilroe, Ping, and the 00 of Hobb that are kind of going at each other, but everybody else seems relatively mild. They seem well-mannered, like they're just trying to ride here for a little bit, at least get to that 1st or 2nd pit stop. But the 3 guys up at the front are really pushing hard. And you mentioned earlier Connor Gibson, how at the end of last season, maybe he wasn't making as many friends as he had in the past, and maybe actually making a couple more enemies. But I also think Connor Gibson's found a little bit more speed here recently. I run a league with him on Sunday nights, and I've noticed he's picked up some speed over the course of the last couple months. So I think that could be a little bit just learning that, right? You get a little bit faster, and sometimes you get a little bit more reckless. It's just something that Connor's going to have to kind of get under control whenever he kind of figures it out. And I mean, Daytona's a pretty good place to figure it out, right? You got a billion cars all around you. Any little mistake is going to cause a big one as Kilroe dives down at the bottom trying to take the lead. But I think, this is a good challenge for Connor Gibson. See if that newly found speed that I think he has can translate into a race win here tonight.
A billion cars. Feeling in the exaggerated mood today, are we?
Well, I mean, whenever it's a completely full field on iRacing, it feels like more than normal.
Yeah.
Like, I'm used to anywhere between 20 to 35. And whenever we say we're going to start this race with 43 cars, my eyes get a little wide and my jaw drops a little bit. So just not something you see too often on here.
Anthony Cameron has lost the draft, so the driver, the number 25, one of the several rookies, over a dozen rookies in the field, going to be dropping towards the tail end of the field right now. Kind of recapping on where our class of rookies is. You could technically kind of classify Jaden Hobb running his first full-time season with these guys. Cody Kinsey, one of the other rookies, running in 7th. Brad Lawson, all the way down for Team 5 Motorsports, down in 11th. You, of course, have got Hayden Wheeler all the way back at 22nd. Christopher Bassinger, I hesitate to call Bassinger a rookie because he's one of the league owners, right, and one of the league founders, but he didn't really start off his run well. In fact, he had big problems after some of the first races in season number 1, and we never saw him again until now. But Nicholas Carsell, another one of the rookies. You got Joey Neese back here. Wyatt Walker, Anthony Cameron, Matt Sotomayor, James Falk, Conrad Whedon. You get the idea. There's a lot of drivers in here that have not raced around these guys before, and for the most part, they've been holding their own.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. I mean, the entire field really holding their own at this point. I like the strategy of these guys at the back, though. Not necessarily all the pack way back here. Completely disconnected from the main field, but there's a few stragglers at the very back of the main pack. They're single filed. I feel like that's about the safest place you can be on the racetrack. So I really like seeing a couple of these guys get single filed. Aaron Smith, though, coming down pit road here, unscheduled. Nobody coming down to help with him either. So that's a bit of a mystery for the number 70.
Yeah, no clue what's going on here for Aaron Smith, but clearly whatever it was terminal. He is out of the race, so Aaron Smith will become our first, really our second retiree of this race. Unfortunate for the Yellow Vision number 70. Again, the driver that's made so many memorable moments, especially most notably the Darlington finish in season 2. Down and out, really before this race has left its infancy.
Yeah, and that's one of the favorites, right? Aaron Smith getting knocked out here 15 laps in. That's one of the guys that you expect to be up towards the front of this field by the end of the race and challenging for the race win. So that's almost a sigh of relief for guys like Ping, Hawk, Kilrow. You see a guy like Aaron Smith disconnect from the race, or a guy like Benjamin Lacey, or one of the main challengers week in, week out, and all of a sudden you get a little bit less tense. Your shoulders relax a little bit. You're like, okay, that's one less really big threat that I have to worry about. So if you're Ping, Hopper, Kilrow, you're probably pretty happy right now seeing Aaron Smith disconnect.
So Dustin Ping, Connor Gibson, Jaden Hopper, Dalton Kilrow remain as the main four up at the head of the field. Double file all the way throughout. So you've seen a couple of guys flirting with the idea of 3 wide, but nobody ever really commit to it as of yet. 34 cars remain in the leading pack, and with us working on lap 16, we're past the point where we saw drivers pitting in during that opening duel and the second duel during the Daytona duel. So now the question is, when do we see them come in? But I would say pit window is pretty open.
I still want to make it to 25. If I can save a little bit of gas to make it to 25, I'm doing it, right? If I've got 23 laps of gas and I have the ability to save 2 laps, I'm saving to get to 25 100% of the time. And I think a good chunk of these guys are doing the same. I don't know. We're starting to single file up towards the front, so we could be looking at pit stops soon. Maybe people trying to get down to the bottom lane, letting people know that, hey, we're coming up on the pit stop, so it very well could be a pit every 20 laps instead of 25. Kind of stinks for a few of these guys to get the extra pit stop in it, but we'll have to wait and see how the strategy plays out when we come down to these green flag pit stops.
Just kind of taking a look throughout the field. There you see Michael Thorpe Jr. and boy, what a terrible end of the season for a driver that's got so much promise underneath him, right? I mean, Michael Thorpe Jr., one of the big title threats to Dalton Kilrow last season, was in a fierce points battle with him the entire season. Never was more than about 20 to 30 away at the very most, and fought his way all the way up towards the playoffs. As soon as playoffs hit, though, disaster struck for the number 34. He had technical problems in the first race. He felt ill for the next 2, had to make start and parks, and luckily somehow lucked his way into the final 8, despite not even turning more than 1 lap in 2 of the 3 playoff races. But at that point, technical problems bit him even bigger, and he was sidelined, could not even collect provisionals throughout the round of 8. And it saw a very quiet end to us at the start of a very, very loud season. But, Thorpe's a guy that's got a lot of talent behind that wheel. He proved that last season. He proved he has the pace to go and get a championship. And let's be real, Austin, you and I both know he deserved to be in the Final 4. He did not deserve to finish the season he had, and he is no doubt hungry, and he is coming back with a vengeance, ready to go at it again in Season 4.
I agree with you 100%. I think Thorpe is undoubtedly one of, at minimum, the top 5 fastest drivers in the league. I think Thorpe's got a lot of talent. I might be underselling him there a little bit. He very well could be top 3, and he's guaranteed to be a championship contender if he shows up week in, week out. So, issues like that last year with the computer issues that he was going through, the technical bugs that he had, you can come back from that the next season in one of 2 ways, right? You can let that really bug you and kind of hurt your the momentum that you had built through that last season coming into this one. You can really let that get you down. Almost Rex towards the
hold on, we got a car blowing up. Dalton Kilrow's blown the motor. Dalton Kilrow goes up in smoke in the number 41. Engine expiring, and he is flaming down the back straightaway, billowing smoke out of the number 41. And that is going to be an end to Dalton Kilrow's night. Huge dramas out of the gate. The defending champion out before the halfway point, and it is because of a mechanical problem with the number 41.
When have you ever seen an engine blow whenever he's in clean air? I have never in my life seen somebody. He was at the front of the field all the way. He had clean air. I'm going back and looking. He had clean air all the way from the start-finish line until he blew up exiting 2. That engine should have cooled down.
We're not going to be able to get an eye on the number 41 with his dials or anything. We can ride on board, figure out exactly where this happened. Right there, it blew up in the middle of turn 1. I have never seen anything like that in my life.
He had been in clean air since the start-finish. I know from experience, you pull out, that's plenty of time for the engine to cool down, but now that I'm looking at it again, I'm looking at his front nose, and it's crinkled. It's knocked in a little bit. I think that he had damage from earlier in the race on the nose from a bad bump draft, and it just continuously got worse.
What in the world? That is, I don't know if that is insane luck or insane something or other, right? But boy, not the way you want to start the title defense. We talked about it before, right? The opening 2 or 3 races of a season can define how it's going to go. Because if you start in the hole, it is so difficult to climb out of it. Especially if you have a field as competitive as this one. If he ends up missing out in the playoffs with only a few points, we know exactly where to look. It happened at Daytona.
And I'm going back right now. He has this damage the entire race. I mean,
that is
he
unreal.
hit the back of Ping while we were gridding. He hit the back of Ping on the grid, and that is what made him blow up.
You are kidding me. No way. That did all of that?
I'm watching it right now. Yeah, it took 20 laps for it to finally blow, but he hit Ping whenever the cars were going in front. Ping actually never hit the gas from the grid. The car in second went. Ping was in fourth. Kilrow 6th. Ping just never went whenever the second place car did, which he didn't have to go right away, and Dalton just ran into the back of him.
We'll try to maybe get a look back on the start of this. It's going to take a hot second, but watch this here. This is going to be all the way back at the very start. The pace car is getting set to roll.
Great job finding this. Wow, 25 minutes ago.
Unbelievable. And sure enough, there's the dent on the front end. It's small, but at a track like this, it doesn't take much, clearly.
I'm just shocked. I mean, and you know, the ARCA cars are new, right? If you're in the next gen car and you do that hit, there is not a scuff on that car, right? Those things are just so sturdy. You're not hurting it. But these ARCA cars, you got to remember, if you ran this service before 2021, we had the Gen 6 cars, which is this exact body, and those things were flimsy. So if you're one of those guys that ran the Gen 6 back in the day, you know that you got to take better care of these things than you do the Cup cars nowadays. But nonetheless, that was still a relatively minor hit for him to, you know, be done 20 laps into this thing. So tough break for Killer. I can't believe to see that from the defending champion. Not the type of mistake that you would expect from the 41.
No, definitely not. That is unbelievable luck. And I mean, I cannot imagine what must be going through your head when that happens as a driver. And I mean, what do you do? I guess all you got to do is, or all you can do is just try to bounce back and fight your way to the front.
Yeah, I'm getting heads up from the driver of the 41, Dalton Gilroy, that his engine was riding at 290 degrees for over 4 laps, and the danger zone starts at about 283. So if he was 290 for 4 laps, I can't believe it hung on that long.
Well, we can hear it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak, as we'll bring Dalton Gilroy, your defending Season 3 champion, into the broadcast booth. And Dalton, cannot imagine what's going through your head as a tough way to start the season. Pit stops are underway, but talk us through what the heck happened on lap 20.
Yeah, so the engine just started to pop. I noticed as soon as I started seeing smoke, it was the car just would not maintain speed, and I knew that would be a recipe for disaster if I tried to stay in there. So that's why I popped up and tried to stay out of the way. Thankfully, everybody got around me good, but getting damaged leaving the grid on pit road was not ideal, especially after all the work we put into getting this event going as we did. You know, I was one of the few that put a lot of time into this, and definitely not how we wanted to start the season.
Well, it is a long season, so while this first race might not have gone your way, how confident are you in your ability to potentially bounce back and go and fight for that championship again throughout the coming weeks?
We'll see. I mean, I know we got 14 races before the playoffs, so if you think about it, even race winners, you know, if they get all the bonus points, they're maybe getting 47, 48 points. So I've just got 47 to make up between now and regular season finale, so that I can make that up. I like this car, can race pretty well in it, so chances are good. But I'm not gonna count my chickens before they hatch just quite yet.
Dalton, tough rate to start the season, but it is a long one. Best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Pit stop still very much underway. Here comes the entirety of the whoever was left of the field. You saw Scott Shire and Angel Lerner with problems. Ty Marasco gonna overshoot his box there, as a few drivers really struggling here, Austin, to get down and into pit road. And we got a collision in pit road now, as who the heck is that just got ground to a halt? Jeez, wild pit entry sequence. That was the 58 of Joey Neese, one of the rookies.
A little bit of pit road contact, and you know, typically I would be saying, you know, it's going to cost you some time, but you're probably going to be okay. But with these ARCA cars, we just learned pit road contact can be race ending. So I would be
now that was
worried
side
if I
to
Neese.
side, so the engine didn't
That's
take
true.
a hit there.
That's fair. That's fair. No damage to the nose. So just protect that nose at all costs, man. Do not slam draft. You cannot slam draft like you did in the next gen. And you can't hit a stationary car on pit road either with the nose. But yeah, big moments coming to pit road as a lot of cars came down that lap.
So this was Adrian Loya. You saw him just kind of lock the rears and spun that machine around. And while that was going on, a car that was already on pit road at the time, Scott Shire, had an issue of his own, trying to track down the driver of the number 4 here. There he is. He's 3 wide with Osapek in the 71. And tried to turn in, and he just dumped himself across the 71's nose there.
Yeah, I mean, Daytona is one of the tougher tracks to pit at, right? And it sounds weird because you got all that runoff room, right? You shouldn't have any issue coming down. It's not like the 1.5 miles where you're pulling off of the banking and just trying to not wreck coming off of the banking. As you see,
This was Joey Neese's incident.
Yeah. He might have nosed it into the inside wall a little bit, so
No,
maybe a little bit of...
this happened right here. The 7. So he tries to turn in. The 14's trying to pass him, and collision.
Sorry, I was looking back at the Shire, the number 4 car. I was looking at a different incident, so that's on me. But I think Shire might have gotten the inside nose, but the 58, yeah, like you said, store contact should be okay. Couldn't find his pit stall, but again, I do think that Daytona is one of the harder tracks to get down to pit road because you are pitting with a huge chunk of cars all going from 200 miles an hour down to 60, and there's not as much room as Talladega, right? There's so much room at Daytona coming off the floor down on the apron that there's plenty of room to kind of get spread out. Here at Daytona, it's a little bit more narrow, and it really narrows up coming right up to pit road. So it's difficult coming down here in a pack. Not surprised to see a little bit of contact on pit road.
And in that contact, I struggle to blame the 14 for that wreck, if I'm being honest. I mean, if Neese's pit stall was right there, why is he in the fast lane and going slow enough for a car that is going to speed a bit to the speed if it can pass him on the inside? I don't think that's on the 14. Sooner or later, you got to go. You can't just be driving, 10, 15 miles an hour slower there.
We were talking earlier about, typically we see anywhere from 20 to 35 cars in a race, right? We got 43 here tonight. And I'm going to say this from experience, whenever I come into a race that has a ridiculous amount of cars, and I qualify in the back or don't qualify, I lose my pit stall. You're not used to having a pit stall in the first 10 stalls on iRacing. You almost never have one there. So I think it just kind of catches people out on that first pit stop a little bit, almost not realizing that, hey, I am literally at the entrance of pit road, because you just don't have to use the entrance of pit road. You put stalls.
And that's fine, right? I mean, if you need to go a bit slower to find your pit stall, there's nothing wrong with that. Then don't be driving in the fast lane. Like, that's my point.
Yeah,
like, the fast lane is for people that know where their pit stall is and who know it's, like, down the road.
That's okay. Well, that's a good point. Yeah. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'd have to.
No intent there. It's just situational awareness, right?
Yeah, fair enough. But hey, we've got the pit stops are all cycled through, and it looked like we had 2 separate packs, about 2 or 3 seconds apart from each other. But the second pack is reeled in the back of the first pack, and now we've just got one single file train of about 30 cars, and they've just gotten, you know, kind of linked up. I think we're going to see some people pulling out to the outside, trying to make it make some track position up at some point. But right now, everybody's still committed to the bottom. Only one car out to the outside of the racetrack.
And I want to point out, unlike the Gen 7s, that one car with no draft help is not exactly dropping any in the corners, is he? Now, he's dropping out in the straights, but in those turns, he was holding in with the guy that he had been drafting with on the inside. I love these ARCA cars, man.
Yeah, these things are one of the best, honestly, one of the best cars in the service. I know that they're brand new, so it's hard to say that, but they're just so fun to drive. They're very, very competitive, even at the mile and a halves. The skill gap is a little bit more narrow than some of the other cars. The draft plays a big role into it, even at the mile and a half. So we're going to get some good races later in this season, I'm telling you. I mean, week in, week out, I think we're going to see some fantastic racing. And I know we're kind of in a little bit of a slow burn right now, but I guarantee you this thing is going to kick off at any moment. And we are seeing some people start to kick out to the outside of the racetrack, trying to get the outside groove working. About 15, 20 laps away from the pit stop.
So, tell me, Austin, what tracks, tell me, like, outside of the super speedways, because those are too easy, what are the 3 main tracks you have highlighted for this season?
Oh boy, that's I'm going to say Charlotte. I think Charlotte's going to be absolutely fantastic, to be honest. I think that I haven't ran this car at Charlotte, but from what I've heard, I think it's going to be a good show. I ran at Indy last week, and it was one of the best races I've ever been a part of. Finished second to somebody, and it was just switching the lead back and forth every lap. It felt like an IndyCar race there. The way that they would, how big the draft is in these ARCA cars, it seriously just feels like a slower IndyCar race. So that will be very fun to watch. And honestly, with how big these spoilers are, I'm going to say Bristol. I think Bristol, you're going to have a lot of downforce. You're going to be able to use multiple groups on that racetrack, I think. Yeah, I know that's a weird one. If we stay green, if we can stay clean at Bristol, now if we have 43 cars, that's not going to happen. But if we have 25 cars, I'm looking forward to Bristol.
So, assuming I can't pick, you know, sister tracks, right? So, like, if I pick Richmond, I can't pick Iowa, for example, because like they're too similar, right? It's too easy. So, I think Auto Club / Michigan, that would be one of my picks. I mean, every race of those 2 tracks have been fantastic. I'm expecting nothing less. Instead of Charlotte, I'm going to go Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a fantastic iRacing track, and remember the last few races these guys have had at that place, even in Gen 4 cars, phenomenal racing. And because I don't want to pick one of yours, Bristol was probably going to be close to up there, but I'm going to say Dover.
Oh, that's a great pick. I didn't even think about that. That race will be amazing in the ARCA car. And the draft won't play too big of a factor in that race, but the way that you can drive this car through the center of the corner, these guys are going to be ripping through the center at Dover. That's going to be an awesome race. And I bet you're going to be able to see multiple grooves there too. I've seen in the next gen car, a lot of people start riding, you know, lane 3, lane 4, almost all the way by the wall. Getting that figured out. So I think that we're going to be able to do it in the ARCA car here with a bigger spoiler too, and it's going to be a heck of a show. I mean, I just really think that this ARCA car is just built well for any and every oval just about, right? The next gen kind of sucks everywhere, and
here we
the
go.
ARCA car is just really good everywhere.
Benjamin Lacey putting it 3 wide with the head of the field here, as he's going to get around the 91 and the 85, but with no help up top, he's going to stall out pretty quickly. The 25 of Anthony Cameron trying to go up and give some aid, but he's not really getting a lot of that, and in fact, Lacey's going to catch the outside wall. I believe that's Ty Marasco that is trying to push that 95 clear right now, and Lacey's fourth top line goes wall to apron as he'll chunk down to the inside, and just like that, we are virtually about out. By the way, this field is pretty weird because there's actually half a second between Michael Keithley here and Sean Williams here. And a lot of that is because of there's about 5 to 6 lap cars in the middle of all of this train that's kind of throwing off where drivers are a little bit.
Yeah, and it's starting to have these front runners shaking down into turn number 1. A couple guys not really committed to one specific line, running all over the racetrack, entering turn number 1 and going back to a couple laps ago. Tough break for Benjamin Lacey. He was up here battling up towards the front. Just had one person make him 3 wide, stick him or push him out to the outside and go middle. The guy that went middle had help with him, and Lacey just plummeted. Man, it looked like he dropped anchor. You got to have help here, even in the ARCA car. You got to have a dancing partner. You can't go up there by yourself, and you got to have somebody committed to that back bumper.
Derek Paulson has about 3 cars with himself and Nicholas Carousel, which it does help him a considerable amount, because it means he doesn't really have to worry about too much pressure from behind, unless that outside line can really get formed up. But we are already working lap 40 of this race. That's kind of amazing to think, right? We're already this deep into a race. It feels like we only just got started a little while ago, and we're nearing the halfway point.
That's what happens whenever the race runs green, I guess. It just flies by a little bit quicker than some we're used to. Obviously, the Classic IndyCar Series race last night, one of the rare races of theirs that actually was a pretty heavy caution fest, especially for the first half. Tonight, completely different, right? I mean, we've been completely clean and green. Everybody's minding their P's and Q's. Nobody's making any ridiculously aggressive moves that are going to take anybody out. Honestly, a big credit to everybody in the field for the first 40 laps. And I want to throw some credit to 2 guys that we saw dominate one of the dual races off of strategy, and they're doing it again here tonight. Ryan Dees and Derek Paulson off the pit strategy, through the pit stops, got themselves to the front of the field, and got themselves lap car bumpers to the rest of the field, right? I mean, over the course of the first 2 weeks, the dual races in this, Dees and Paulson have separated themselves from the rest of the group as being kind of the strategy kings of the super speedways.
Your Season 2 champion running back in a bit of a secondary pack here. This is the 3rd pack in line, and this is really pack number 3 here, headed up by Matt Crockett, Ethan Sikorsky, and more. So this is a train that's been trying to catch up the leaders, but they just haven't had the pace to do it. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't think they're going to have pace to do it unless the leaders really start to save fuel. I think these guys, this is where they're going to be running until either the next pit stop window or until the yellow comes out.
Yeah, I mean, because this main pack, you really got to have 2 lead cars that are just as good, if not better, than the 2 lead cars in the main pack, right? The main pack has more cars than the second pack, so you've got to have the 2 that are leading it be the absolute 2 best that you can have up there, and no disrespect to the 2 that are back there, but like I just said, Ryan Dees and Derek Paulson have kind of proven themselves to be some of the better super speedway racers out here. And I know I was talking about strategy, but the strategy puts them up towards the front, and they haven't lost the track position yet. So I'm going to say they're some of the better super speedway racers in here. It's going to be hard for the second pack to catch them because they're just used to being at the front of the field, right? So the second pack has got to figure it out. I like the 97 all over the back bumper of the 94 here. So finally getting a 4-car breakaway, so they're not side by side at the front of their pack. That's going to at least help them out a little bit, but still, this main pack just has so many cars. It's going to be tough to run that.
This is also, I want to point out, the longest green flag run from the very start of a race that HTRL has ever had at Daytona. In season number 1, we had a caution within the first 15 laps. Season 2, we had a caution in the first 10. Checking the metrics for season 3, yeah, we had the big one on lap 7. So this is the longest opening green flag run we've ever had at this facility with this league. And again, considering, we have a full field, I think that speaks a lot about the respect that a lot of these drivers have for each other and the knowledge that they put into these race cars. Everybody seems to know their limits, and so far, nobody's really tried to drive outside of them. We've had a few bull moves, and, well, we got a little bit of 3 wide back here, but it's been nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think everybody's honestly just using their best judgment at this point. And I'm honestly kind of surprised. I thought that there would be at least, out of 43 cars, you would think there would be 1 or 2 people that maybe just driving a little bit over their head, right? And, I've definitely been that person before. So you just expect 1 or 2 guys to, be out there and making mistakes. But so far, all 43 guys out there, since we've been on the racetrack at least, have been, really, really good around each other and haven't made bad contact, right? The only bad contact we've seen all night was in the pre-race on pit road and during pit stops on pit road. So out on the racetrack, it's been nice and clean.
Now, that's not to say that we haven't had cars drop out of this race, right? We had Jonathan Canfield have technical problems, Aaron Smith had some sort of problem, Dalton Kilrow blew the motor up after he got into the wall, and we have drivers like Scott Shire, Anthony Loya, and Joey Neese. They had crashes entering or on pit road with other drivers. So if there have been incidents, it's just that none of them are brought out of the yellow yet. I think this is a very important distinction to make, right? While it's a caution-free race, it has not been an incident-free one.
That's a fair point. We haven't seen anybody, spin out on the racetrack yet, though. So, we've had little moments, but we haven't seen anybody, we haven't seen major damage other than an engine blow. So, I'm still just shocked. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's been a pretty solid race, and everybody, like I said, minding their P's and Q's, just not making ridiculous moves. And it probably helps right now that, Dees and Paulson do have a 0.3 of a second gap over the third place runner over some lap cars. They're just not quite able to get up to them, so we're just not really able to race for the lead just yet, which I think has kept the aggression in check a little bit through this second stint.
How about this 4-car breakaway for the leaders as well? Dustin Payne, Brian Deesor, and Tarek Paulson started the pole clear, and they are bringing the 65 of Caden Gargiulo with them, as well as Joey Nisa. Those are 2 lap cars. Michael Keithley in the 53. Right now, the first official third-place runner. But overall, a very clean opening half of this race. We're already turning lap 47 of 100 this afternoon. This race could be gone in a flash where you know it. And, usually we talk when we get to super speedway races, not about if the big one's going to happen, it's a matter of when. But, when you get half a race green, you do start to ask yourself, are we going to get a big one?
I'm not asking myself that yet, to be honest with you.
You're not falling from my commentator's curse trap, are you?
I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, but I am also seeing 53 laps left on the board. So,
lot of race.
So yeah, exactly. And the aggression level we're seeing right now is not what we're going to be seeing on lap 90. Whenever we get there, as long as we have, through the pit stops, a pack of more than 5 cars for the race win, we're going to see them wrecking for the win.
So drivers that are laps down in this battle, in case you're looking for where they are, Caden Gargiulo, Joey Neese, Matt Sotomayor, Jason Greenwell, Scott Shire, all in this leading pack, and kind of jumbled up amongst the leaders, which is why it's been kind of a bit of who's who as to who's where. Now, first run of green flag stops, and we'll check this for everybody inside of the top 20. You're looking at around 27 to 28 laps, so give or take, we're going to be seeing pit stops again after lap 56. I had to do some math there.
Quick maths. And you want to push it as long as you possibly can so that you take as little fuel on that last pit stop as possible, right? You pack the fuel full, the first stop, the second stop, and then on that third stop, lap 75 stop, which really, because we're pushing it longer, is going to turn into 79 to 82, somewhere in that range. Because you push it so far, you can take half a tank of fuel or 3/4 of a tank of fuel and get off a pit road just a little bit quicker. We've been seeing that in real life NASCAR here recently with the next gen, how the fuel saving and how much time you spend on pit road means so much. It definitely still means a lot here, not to the same extent, but if you can push your fuel window 3 laps further than everybody else every single stint, by the time you get to that last pit stop, you're taking 3, 4, 5 less gallons than everybody else in the field, and at that point, that's a huge advantage on that last pit stop. So honestly, the guys like Dees and Paulson being at the front of the field, they're not looking too good for that fuel mileage. They're running a little bit different strategy than that. But some of the guys in the middle of this main pack, I wouldn't be surprised if they really push this thing as far as it can possibly go, run this thing all the way dry on fuel, and pull that strategy I was just going to describe.
Well, pit stops are looming at Daytona, the National Speedway, but we are still green throughout the first half. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV. You're watching the Garden Autosport 250 from Daytona.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Apologies for the brief technical difficulties there. We should have everything back sorted. Pit stops are currently underway for some of the back markers of the field. Kevin Colbert, Mike Massengill, Dustin Ping, Bob Berry, and more were into the lane that last time by. We got a bit of 3 wide. If you're just tuning in, my name is Nola Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom. We're bringing you all of racing action for the Guardian Autosport 250. Daytona, the National Speedway, and Austin's second run of green flag stops coming at you. Here are the leaders. Oh! We got more problems. The 98's been turned sideways, so another car spun around in pit road. And that is Michael Ashmore that was found facing the wrong way. And by the way, the car that the 93 there got into, that was Joey Neese, the driver that's already had a collision in pit road once this afternoon. And it was Kinsey that got into him, by the way, and Kinsey does have a black flag.
All the other ones that have come out of pit road already, so we'll have to wait and see whenever they come down, which looks like it's this lap. Are they going to be able to jump any of these guys that were ahead of them on the racetrack prior to the pit stops?
That is the big ticket question, isn't it? As Paul Saint-Mary almost overshoots the box. He's going to get it slowed down just in time. So as the last of our lead lap runners are in pit road, here is Cody Kinsey making his way into pit road this time by. And you're going to see him just way overshoot. Had to avoid Kenny Gargiulo. Shot sideways, got into Neese. And thankfully for Neese, Kinsey had got it relatively woed up by then. And then somewhere along the line, there is Massengill. We are looking, though, for Ashmore coming down to pit road here. And he got turned across the nose of the 97, I do believe. No, it was not. It was the 71. So he turned in, clearly was missing his box, and had to scramble to get in. And that was Wyatt Walker, or the Hazen Boots Motorsports driver, that got into him. Although, admittedly, kind of hard to pin that one on Walker when you got somebody that chops across the nose and borderline brake checks. He's trying to get to to their pit stall.
Yeah, these green flag pit stops have been the hairiest situations out on the racetrack so far tonight, right? Anytime we're out on the track, out on the banking, we're pretty nice to each other, handling it all right. But out on pit road, we're We're having some issues, but up towards the front of the field, Brian Dees, Derek Paulson, they found the front again. They've cycled back through 2 first and second, but this time they do not have that lap car buffer. They got Benjamin Lacey breathing down their neck there in third.
So turning lap 58 of 100 this afternoon. Still a long way to go in this one. You see Marasco think about faking high, going to the outside line. Decides against it, though. And we will lock away another lap or two. At this point, I mean, I'm willing to bet we're probably going to make it to our third pit stop window before we really get any sign of a yellow coming out.
I feel like we're going to see some aggression picking up before this next pit stop. And whenever the aggression picks up, the possibility for a caution flag, yeah, just a little bit, right? I think that right now the track position matters more than anything, right? Coming up to this last pit stop, you want to be towards the front of the field. You want to give yourself the best opportunity possible to stay in that main draft whenever everybody comes out of the pit road. Best chance to do that is being in one of the front 4 or 5 cars at the very front of the field. You can have a little bit of a mistake on pit road and still end up being with the main pack. If you're at the very back, one little mistake, you lose the track. So I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we're starting to see, a couple of these guys find their way to the outside groove of the racetrack and helping each other. Now, there was a group of 5 cars on the outside helping each other, but one of them just made it 3 wide instead, and that's going to hurt the outsides run a little bit here off of turn number 4. They're still 3 wide with a lap car, but Ryan D's still leading the way. I'd imagine he's going to be coming up pretty close to locking up the most laps led on the night award.
You saw Wyatt Walker making his way out of pit road. Walker was in the pits for over 2 minutes for damage repairs. I didn't think he got that part of the hit, but, that hit was on the front end. He may have been taking inspiration from Dalton Kilroy's incident and realized, maybe safer rather than sorry to get this fixed. But he is back into pit road now and looking like...
This is a pass-through. This is
he
another
is
black flag.
Done.
Okay, they gave him another black flag,
Ouch.
like right before you started talking about him. So I guess he saw that black flag and decided to call it quits, or maybe he's got a 40-second hold. Couldn't quite tell. But the outside line's starting to come. Tom Marasco leading that outside groove. His teammates from the front, too. He's trying to link up with his MFRD teammates up at the top of the racetrack.
So, update from race control on that. And the drive-through, I'm willing to bet, was for an unsafe pit exit, because he did kind of get up above the double yellow line there on his way out. But the reason why he was not in for damage repairs, he had been given a 1-lap stop and hold, courtesy of High Time Race League's race control, for a result of 2, and this is quote, 2 dumps on pit road. So...
Well, and they've got a right lane rule, right? There's a right lane rule that it's really...
So, okay.
They enforce whenever you make a mistake that hurts somebody else most of the time. I don't think that they're too strict on it until you hurt somebody else with it.
So the first one I can semi-see a little bit. I don't see it on the second one, though. He's coming out of his pit stall, and somebody turns across his nose and slams the brakes because they're missing their pit stall. I don't see how that's his fault.
Well, that's a part of the league rules. We're right. You got to be in the right-hand lane. They expect you to be in the right-hand lane.
You just let his pistol. He didn't have a chance to get there.
I'm saying they expect you to be single file. It's your job at the end of the day to get behind somebody before they have to turn into their pit box, right? If they're doing the right thing, getting in the right lane as the rules state, and you don't, and they turn themselves across their nose, at the end of the day, the rules state you got to be in the right lane. So they would have been in the right. So it all comes down to what's written in the rule book, whether you know it's written in the rule book or not, and how you interpret it. Ultimately, you got to be in the right lane. So I feel like it's kind of black and white in that issue. If it's written in the rule book, got to be in the right lane, got to be there.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm as much of a stickler for rules as much as anybody, right? But I feel like at some point, there has to be a little leniency and a bit of taking the incident as a whole in the context. Because remember, when Ashmore got turned, he was slamming on the brakes because he was on path to potentially overshoot his pit stall because he lost track of where it was. Had he been up to speed on a regular turn-in, they probably wouldn't have made contact. He was well clear of him until the 98 slammed the brakes directly in front of him. And again, he had just come out of pit road. He had not had the chance to get into the right lane. Your spotter isn't giving you the car outside call when you're on pit road, so you're having to look around all these different places while tracking on what's in front of you on the exit as well. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate that Ashmore got taken out, but I certainly don't think it's something where a guy should be held 100% accountable for something where, one driver is just trying to go about his own day. Another driver could have done more to avoid it, or just, get better track where his stall was after one pit entry. I don't agree with the penalty. I don't. I'm struggling to justify
have to look at it one more time. You might need to show me the replay one more time for me to get an absolute idea. I might have to say it one more time. It's a tough one. Like I said, if it's written in the rule book a certain way, by the letter of the law, he broke the rules. But I understand what you're saying, right? Like the car on his outside would have held the correct pace and turned in at the correct time to his pit box, then it would have been a moot point, right? It wouldn't have mattered. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I know. We'll have to go back and look at it, and I'm sure the admins will have a chat about it after the race on how to officiate that going forward as well.
I believe this was the incident in question. On his way out, all of a sudden, Ashmore turns across and slams the brakes. And keep in mind, the stall that he got turned into there, that was his stall. He was not making that pit stall.
Yeah, if he got the black flag for that in particular, I would agree.
Now
he's on his way out of his pit stall, like you said. That's,
well, and here's
I wouldn't agree with it.
Well, and here's the questionable thing about it, right? Is the fact that was the second time he had made contact with somebody on pit road. So I don't know where the first incident came from, and if there was a first incident, fair enough. But you can't pin the second one on him for sure. I don't think so, at least.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with you. I think I'd have to agree with you because he was clear of the guy, but he
was more than
clear. He was clear of slowed down. Exactly. He was more than clear. The green car way out in front and ended up hitting the brakes. So honestly, after watching the replay, I kind of got to take back some of it. I kind of feel bad for Wyatt. It's tough, and Jonathan's making a good point in the chat that if he was clear of him, like he had the lane clear to the right, he could have gone further right and would have never made that contact either. If he had that lane to the right clear after the green car cleared him. So it's a weird situation. I hate it for Wyatt because it's just a pit road incident. It's just a couple cars coming together, but sometimes it comes down to the letter of the law. But nonetheless, we did have a pass for the lead. Tom Marasco had a huge shove from Nicholas Caressel, and Jaden Hopp followed him through. So now we've got a little bit of a shake-up in the top five. Dees and Paulson still up there in the top five, but now they do not have control of the race. Instead, it's their teammate, Tom Marasco.
It was the number 40 car as well that gave him that big push. That 40 machine is a lap down.
Nah, Caresso's in second.
He is, so he is. Look, you got like half the field that is in this pack that's a lap down right now. Like, it's hard. It's hard to tell who's who, especially as you got like a bunch of new names. So you're trying to figure out who everyone is still. But you're right. Marasco in first, Coruscant in second, Hop back in third, Dees and Paulson have dropped back to fourth and fifth. They are catching another group of lap cars here, and I can focus on which pack that is that they're trying to catch. I'll let you know who it is. It is, there we go. It's Dustin Ping, Matt Crockett, Kevin Foster, Bob Berry, and one other that have been caught up in this pack as well. So this is another healthy group of five that looks like they're about to be caught up with the leaders towards the end of the field. There you see Ty Marasco leading the way. And all of this, keeping in mind as well, we're about halfway through that pit stop window already. So I think one more will be good to go the distance.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that pit stop, the sweet spot's going to be around lap 77 to 81. That's whenever you're going to see all these guys start coming down pit road, and we are inching closer to that. Honestly, probably further towards that 81 mark is what I would be looking at. But wait and see. Still working lap number 69 here. 32 laps to go. One more pit stop. Hopefully we're a little bit cleaner on pit road this time, and we won't have any controversial. Right? I wouldn't even say, like, I don't want to say questionable. I don't want to paint that last penalty as like negative because I'm 50-50 to be honest with you. Like, it's a tough one. So hopefully we just have no contact on pit road this next time.
We've had it twice across the board, right? We've had numerous incidents, and it's worth noting, the only cars that have ever been spun fully around, it's always in pit road. Nothing on track, which I I think leads to Derek Watson's point that he made a lot when he was covering the series on the regular, is that pit road does not get practiced enough. It does not get practiced nearly enough. So hopefully we got 2 runs behind us. Maybe we'll be able to have a swing at it. One of the big movers of the day, Michael Thorpe Jr., up 33 spots. He is now in 7th and fighting for more. He is 3 wide in the middle. Ty Marasco, though, up the most out of anybody, plus 37.
What a job he's done, right? I've seen Ty get shoveled to the outside a handful of times here tonight and get shuffled back to the back of the pack. And every single time that that's happened, he's worked his way back up towards the top 10, closing in on the top 5. This time, he was able to work himself all the way up to the race lead with some help from Nicholas Caressel. So Ty's looking like one of the stronger ones out here. I know it's easy to say with him leading the thing, but man, I feel like he's gone from back of the main pack to about 5th to 10th a handful of times tonight, and well, this time it worked out even better for him. The driver, number 1's looking pretty daggone good right now. Still got one more pit stop to go through, right? So one more opportunity for major mistakes on the pit cycle, and then at that point, all hell is really going to break loose whenever we don't have any more pit stops left.
29 laps to go, and if you like the show that you've been watching here on Green Flag TV, coming on up, we got on April 8th the Ole Miss Road Cup Series with our 12th race, as we'll see who can tame the Lady in Black at the Darlington Raceway at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, it's a Wednesday doubleheader. VSR Sim Game and Expo Truck Series out of Bristol Motor Speedway at 8:25, and about an hour after that race begins, so too will the 11th season of the Beer League at Oschersleben Circuit over in Germany. That'll be on those 2 races will be on April 9th, and at 89, the broadcast booth of the Beer League, well, it'll be Evan Basoko and Derek Watson over in Tennessee. And then it's more racing action in Tennessee at the Last Great Coliseum on Thursday as well, as the Speed Cup Series will also take to the short tracks in the half-mile bull ring. That'll be at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. Nearly daily shows on Green Flag TV, pretty much save for Fridays, and on some weeks even doubling them up, making it 30 shows in 30 days in the month of April.
Plus, you're a madman. How do you give yourself no free time? No time to just relax? I can't believe you.
It's the only way I keep
30 days.
It's the only way I keep myself from going absolutely stir crazy waiting for my drag racing season to start.
Fair enough. I guess you got to wait a little while for the outdoor racing up in Canada, so that makes sense. But hey, man, look at Michael Thorpe Jr. That number 34. I was talking about him earlier. At worst, he's the 5th best driver in this league, and I'd be arguing he's the top 3 driver in the league. And he's found himself up to the front for the first time tonight. He's going around the outside of Marasco for the lead.
Michael Thorpe Jr., the driver out of Chicago, Illinois, going to make his drive to the point. Paul Satmary down to the number 2 spot. Christopher Bassinger back in 3rd, and Austin McGill runs behind in the number 4 spot. They're going to clear down the 93 of Cody Kinsey, who tries to follow, but no dice to do so. So we are now in the window. If you pit now, you can go the distance on fuel, and we still have a caution-free race as we approach the 75% completion marker.
It's been an incredible race so far. To run 75 laps here, 43 cars out on the racetrack. Obviously, we've got a couple retirees looking at, I believe, 39 cars still on the track right now. That's incredible. To hear that we've got 75 laps in the book and we have not seen a car sideways on the racing surface is incredible. This field has done a great job all night, and as much as I'm enjoying it and I'm liking the clean racing, I'm telling you, this last pit stop is going to make it hairy. As soon as we get packed back up after all the different groups come down pit road, the gloves are going to come off. I'd be surprised if we didn't have 3 yellows in the last 20 laps.
Well, when it comes to super speedway racing, where one follows, more are often not far behind in more ways than one, right? It's not just in the draft where that statement can be oh so applicable. But next week, we swing out to Atlanta Motor Speedway, and granted, Atlanta, it's the old version, the 2008 scan of that 1.57 mile quad oval. Those races are always interesting.
Amazing in Atlanta. wasn't even thinking about Old Atlanta whenever you asked that question earlier about the 3 tracks I was looking forward to most. I was thinking we were doing New Atlanta. So I might need to put Atlanta into that 3 because this car there with all the tire wear, oh man, I cannot wait. That's going to be one of the best races of the year.
And, you know, kind of speaking of tire wear, pit stops on the last several runs, right? We're looking at 12 to 14 seconds now. Typically for a Cup car, you're looking at around 14 seconds of tires and fuel. And it does look like drivers have been taking tires with these cars, which is extremely interesting to me, right? Because typically taking tires is not something you really do. Is the tire wear severe enough that it's impacting these guys on a track like this?
I think it's more so that you can take 2 tires without having to spend any more time on pit road, right? You can fill up the tank, take 2 tires.
There we go.
3 and 4, finally. The 81 getting sent hard into the outside wall. 2 lap cars. They were trying to get their lap back on the outside. Instead, they're all wrecking into turn 3, and they're taking out Marasco with them as well.
Huge problems. Dustin Ping, the Season 2 champion, is destroyed. Kevin Coburn and Mike Bassengill were involved. William Turnbull was involved, and racing action will be slowed down for the first time tonight. What a tough break for this field, and that started when the 14 entry got turned.
Yeah, Dustin Ping right behind him, coming down into turn number 3. The outside lane was 4 lap cars trying to get their lap back before the pit stops, and Ping found a hole down to the inside of the 14. The 14 left him a hole, and the 14 closed it after the 81 was already down there.
Huge lick into the outside wall, and
I don't know if the 14 turned left or if there was initial contact.
Did you see Benjamin Lacey and the 99 both sneak through on the apron with 2 wheels in the grass?
And Tom Marasco, I mentioned he got taken out by that. He got his front bumper ripped off, but about 10 seconds later, the bumper teleported magically back onto his car, and I see absolutely 0 damage. So I think Marasco might actually be okay. Yeah, I don't know if there was just a little bit of contact to the left rear before the 14 started coming down, or if the 14 just hard yanked the wheel trying to block the run. I could not quite tell if Ping misjudged and just got the left rear first, or if the 14 hung it left. But nonetheless, that's the first yellow. It took us 76 laps, but here's the last round of pit stops. Who's going to come out with the control of this race?
Quite a few cars staying out on the racetrack might be gambling on trying to see if they can't get their lap back with a free wave around here when we go 1 to green. And if they do, hope for a quick yellow flag so they can get back on cycle with the leaders. Otherwise, they're in a world of hurt. Benjamin Lacey, fuel only. He is out in front, and Benjamin Lacey, the Season 1 champion, takes the lead of the race, and he was almost not in a position to do that because this is what he saw in the midst of the wreck. Yikes. Does not get much closer than that, does it?
No. And, the pretty standard way to dodge a wreck at the super speedways is take a hard left in the middle of the corner. Typically, the wrecks wash up the racetrack a little bit and then slowly come back down the banking. Lacey knew that to a T. He came down there, saw the wreck in front, and immediately turned left, knew that his best bet was to get down as low as he possibly could, and he still almost did not get low enough. So, near miss for a handful of these guys.
That was the look from Kevin Coburn. And a bit of a close call himself, one of the main rookies in this field, and for William Turnbull, just not at all the way he wanted this race to come to a close, and it is so tough to see it fall apart like that.
One guy that's super happy about that, one of those lap cars that was fighting for his lap back, Cody Kinsey, right? He was the one leading that outside groove, and 2 of the other lap cars right behind him, and now he gets the lucky dog. He hadn't gotten the lap back before the caution flag came out, but he will have that lucky dog off of it. Actually, he might have gotten positioning right in front beforehand, so there might have been one more car getting the free pass. I'll have to go back and do some checking. Actually, yeah, Kevin Foster got the free pass. Cody Kinsey was able to get the nose out in front and get himself back on the lead lap before the yellow flag. Kevin Foster had the free pass.
So interesting enough, lights staying on with the Iverson pace car. Typically, they've gone out by now. A few lap cars did come down a pit road, but you're looking for the drivers that Could potentially take up the ever-coveted free pass. You, of course, have got Katie Gargiulo in the number 65. You got Scott Shire back here, Carter Phillips, Joey Neese, Matt Sotomayor, Adrian Loyal looking to get one back. So is Jeremiah Hobbs, Matt Crockett, Michael Ashmore, Anthony Cameron. So a lot of the rookies that were trapped a lap down from pit stop runs that went poorly earlier, looking to get a lap back, because Benjamin Lacey, there he is with almost 10 cars in front of him. And a good, I would say about 8 or 9 are going to get back on the lead lap. We got 29 cars technically on the lead lap right now.
And still a little ways to go, so we got added a caution lap. That's why we're still under the no light or lights on the pace car. So we've got one more caution lap. We'll take the one to green this time by. So we'll have 19 laps to go on the restart. Like you said, we're going to have 29 cars on the lead lap. Now, a lot of those cars that took the wave around are really going to be hoping for another caution, right? Because the green flag pit cycle is just about to come up. They were just about to come down pit road. I imagine they don't have too much gas left in the tank. So a handful of those guys are going to be hoping that the aggression level picks up immediately at the beginning of this run.
And we've seen that pay off, right? Like, we have seen that be something that these drivers are able to overcome and fight back with. It is definitely a serious possibility if we get another caution in very quick succession. I mean, look what happened to Duel 2, right? We got one yellow flag, and then we had 2 of them back-to-back without being able to get a lap of green flag racing in.
So now that we've seen 80 laps here, we had a 75 lap green flag run, and we've kind of got this thing sorted after the last pit stop. Now that you're seeing us double up here, Nolan, what are you thinking? Who do you think are the favorites at this point? Who are you really keeping your eye on? Honestly, it's pretty easy in most weeks to say, the top 5, because it's pretty natural. But man, if you look at it right now, the guys that have been up front all night, Benjamin Lacey, Brian Dees, Ty Marasco, Michael Thorpe Jr., Derek Paulson, Lacey, Marasco, and Thorpe Jr. have been able to work their way through the field better than anybody else. Dees and Paulson have been able to lead the field better than anybody else, and they've all found themselves in the top 5 on this last restart. So honestly, I'd be surprised if somebody that's in the top 5 doesn't win this one. What about you?
Oh, I'm not playing that game. What do you think
What do
I
you
am,
mean?
crazy?
I mean,
ask me when we're not on a super speedway.
I mean, you can still pick favorites off of super speedway. You can see who's been having the right amount of aggression while still keeping the car under control, and who's been able to put themselves up towards the front of the field, And obviously, it's easy to say the guys running up in the top 5 are the ones that are at the front of the field all the time, and or whatnot. But normally, it's not the case, especially at the super speedways. You have a little bit of jumbled up running order. Here today, though, because of the long green flag run, it's simply just the best. The guys that have been the best all day long are at the best, at the front right now at the end of this thing. So it's worked out to be a very natural race in that sense, and it's given us the best cars of the race so far up at the front of the pack at the very end. So we'll just have to wait and see if it's going to be one of those 5 or if somebody else can kind of surprise me, right? Jaden Hopp's not too far back in 7th. Bassinger was up here. There's a couple people I wouldn't be surprised to get up here and at least challenge them, but I don't know, those 5 are going to be tough.
So the iRacing pace car will duck into pit road. And we'll enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. 20 laps to go. Some cars having a duck in a pit road as Joey Neese, Matt Sotomayor, and Anthony Cameron. Everyone else is out to green.
2x2 all the way through the field. We're going to start seeing some 3 wide that we haven't seen much tonight on this restart. I guarantee you we're going to see some people making it 3 wide whenever they have the opportunity, but so far still 2x2 as they're all getting up to speed. Brian Dees to the race lead on the outside with a big shove from Michael Thorpe Jr., the 17 and the 34, shoving hard down the back straightaway.
Big push is being made as we enter the final 5th of this race. Michael Thorpe Jr. not going to help out Dees for long. He cuts to the inside in 3. And he'll get himself with a helping hand, courtesy of Austin McGill, off of 4. So Michael Thorpe Jr. looking to fight for the win of the Guardian Autosport 251 car straddling the apron. That is Marasco.
Good save from Marasco. I don't know if he got a tap from behind or what, but Ty did a good job hanging onto that car after he got put on the apron through the trial. But back at the front, Michael Thorpe Jr.'s found a teammate. He got down to the inside to Brian Dees, tried to take the lead, didn't have any help, and all of a sudden Austin McGill, his Team Watson Racing setup's teammate, jumped down there with him. Another 34 and 78 are lined up for the first time tonight at the front of the field. But their problem right now is that Brian Dees is getting a huge shove from Nicholas Coruscant down the back straightaway, and Dees is clear of both of them down into 3, and they both cut the nose off of Michael.
Oh, but Coruscant's going to be muzzled out wide. Thorpe wasn't having it. Forced the 40 car up and wide. And Coruscant will jump back to the outside line. Now, Nicholas Coruscant here could potentially have a great run and take the win at Daytona in his rookie season. So Brian Dees trying to make his way to the front. Well, you got a rookie up on top, and right now, Coruscant, the only rookie anywhere in the top 10.
What a job that rookie's doing, right? Up in the top 5, leading that outside groove, getting a shove from the number 94 of Sikorsky. But coming down the back straightaway, Dees, those two Team Watson teammates pull out from behind him down the backstretch, and they both just sail past the driver of the 17, Brian Dees, just looking like he's sitting still on the bottom side of the racetrack. 3 cars go around the outside.
And that's because they got trouble here. Michael Ashmore in the middle of the road, not making it easy for the leaders here. 3 wide, and he's going to be down low. Looking like they'll get around him clean, but Tom Marasco now caught in the middle as we go 3 wide through the tri-oval. 1 car almost busted up and into the outside wall, exiting the tri-oval. Paul Satmer going to give Marasco a helping hand in the middle lane here as we get through turns 1 and 2.
This is the sketchiest the racing has been all night long. 3 wide from the middle of the pack. Ty Marasco still stuck in the middle groove, and we're starting to see a lot of big checkups in certain areas of the racetrack and creating big runs from the middle of the pack, squeezing down, beating down on these leaders up at the front of the field. We saw it through the trial the last time by. Almost had a couple people run over. Everybody able to continue, but look at the 83 on the top side of the racetrack around the outside of the number 1 of Ty Marasco, trying to pick up a handful of spots.
Oh, there we go! No! Big trouble! Multiple cars around. 5, 6, 8, and more! The big one exiting the tri-oval and caution number 2. And the Guardian Autosport 250. Paul Satmer involved. Hayden Wheeler, Lakey, Phillips avoided it. But a huge mess on the front stretch. Jason Greenwell got annihilated. Sean Williams out. Conrad Whedon is out. And that went about as poorly as you could have imagined.
Well, it's just a weird scenario where, you know, Greenwell was on the outside just a moment before. Marasco's been stuck in the middle. He's trying to continue the run in the middle, but Eddie Hagee got a run to the outside of Greenwell the exact same time that Marasco got a run to the inside of Greenwell. So they ended up making it 4 wide into the tri-oval. And Greenwell and Marasco make contact.
Greenwell saved it, by the way.
Oof.
I don't know how, but he did. And then this was...
That's incredible.
And then this was David Lakey. He had just flashed out, so he's still suffering from a bit of net code. And that's why Greenwell phases right through him, and a bit of a delayed takeout on that front. Paul Sammer was already turned into the outside wall, and it was just on from there.
Big hit for the 92 there in the middle. The 24 getting sent spinning. The 11, Kevin Foster just got put back on the lead lap in that number 8. He's heavily involved with the front bumper getting chopped off. The 84, innocent bystander, David Leakey. That's the big one that we were expecting at some point, right? It just took the field getting bunched up and, you know, the craziness of the last 20 laps of super speedways to really kick this one off. And, well, I don't think we're done yet.
It's a big shame. That was we were looking to have ourselves with a really good run, and unfortunately it just all kind of falls apart as Paul I want to know what happened to get Paul Satmary turned up into the outside wall, honestly. I mean, we saw him get up there, but it was a bit of a wild entry for him, so he's right behind this. He's got Connor Gibson his outside. Oh, he got checked up. Okay, fair enough.
Coming through here, Sean Williams in 89 got a little bit of front end damage. Right. How about Nick Ospek in that number 9, just barely squeaking through? How about that from driver the number 9? And that's big for Nick Ospek. I said it in the pre-race. He just barely squeaked his way into this race.
Cody Kinsey. Florida native there, so hometown hero squeaks through.
Yeah, going back to Autosport, he's gotten himself up from 36th to 13th. I was mentioning he was the last one to get in on the duel because of somebody else running out of gas, and now he was running up in the top 5 of that duel race with about 5 laps to go. He got turned, I believe it was out of turn number 2, a little bit of a bumper hook, and it sent him to the back of the pack. So he had absolutely no luck, and then all of a sudden he had all the luck in the world to get into the race. And now he's gotten himself up in the top 15. I don't see any damage on that car. So what a story it would be if Nick Ostapek somehow gets up to the front of this field after barely making the show. I would like to see if he can maybe get that number 9 up here to challenge.
So Austin McGill leads the way. His teammate Michael Thorpe Jr. behind, then it's Ethan Sikorsky, Christopher Bassinger, Jaden Hopp, Derek Paulson for the first 3 rows. Dees, Brad Lawson, Lacey, and Eddie Hagge round out the top 10. And all of this leading to what could be an explosive final 11 laps here.
We've had a big shakeup in the running order, right? I was saying under that last caution, hey, the guys that were in the top 5 are the ones that I'm looking at the most. And, well, out of those 5, there's only one that's still in the top 5, and that's Michael Thorpe Jr. in 2nd, Paulson in 6th, Dees in 7th, Lacey 9th. So a couple of those guys, and Marasco was involved in that accident. So a couple of those guys that I thought were going to be the ones that were the ones to beat have all of a sudden gotten shuffled. And well, we've got 2 teammates on the front row, right? Austin McGill, Michael Thorpe Jr. all of a sudden looking like they're the ones in control of this race. Through the middle portion, it was Paulson and Dees. Now it's completely flipped over to the Team Watson guys. Curious if they're going to pull off some type of teammate restart here. Not sure exactly what.
I'd be surprised if they didn't, if they wouldn't.
Yeah. I agree. They didn't. McGill is the leader, and he did not pick the outside, though. Typically, whenever you do the teammate restarts, you start on the outside, you drop down on the in front of the guy on the inside. So it'll be interesting to see here. Is Thorpe going to get a better start, or is McGill going to get a better start and jump to the top with Thorpe? Have to wait and see exactly what the Team Watson guys have in store. And now, I like the teammate restarts. I like being lined up with a guy that I trust in these super speedway races. But something I also really like is as a teammate with somebody lining up on the front row, I like controlling both lanes, right? We haven't seen 3 wide a whole lot tonight at the front of the field. We've seen it in the middle pack, but we haven't seen it quite surface up at the very, very front of this field. So if you're controlling both of those lanes, it's going to be really, really hard for anybody to actually shuffle you both and get you, shuffle back to 10th, 15th, or whatever it could be. So I don't know. If I'm the Team Watson guys, I'm saying hold your lane and just throw the most ridiculous blocks you can. Got a couple people cheering in chat. Lindsay saying, let's go Jaden. We got Justin Levine pulling for Thorpe Jr. up on the front row. So we got and actually Canfield said Bassinger, also a teammate with the front 2. So we've got 3 Team Watson cars lined up in the 3 of the front 4 positions. So if I'm the rest of the field, I'm worried seeing those cars all lined up at the front.
Pace car is down into pit road, and the field is ready to rumble. Green flag back in the air, 11 laps the distance. As Thorpe and McGill both take off, trying to control both lanes. McGill holding up that inside line, letting Thorpe get clear. Potentially some team games being played. Christopher Bassinger up top. Gonna help Michael Thorpe get up to speed as we get through 1 and 2.
And where does the first aggressive move come from? So far on these restarts, it takes them until they come out of turn number 2 for somebody to really try something. You got to get up to speed to be able to make that kind of move. Here down the back straightaway, still everybody locked, nose to tail, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, all the way through. Nobody willing to make a move just yet. Coming to 10 laps to go. Where is that move going to come from? I'm looking at Derek Paulson on the outside. First car behind those Team Watson cars. Oh, the 53 gets spun from the top. Huge wreck coming out of turn number 4. The 65 going spinning around up to the outside wall, collecting a few others.
And a second crash behind them as Scott Shire was turned head-on into the outside fence. And yellow number 3 on the afternoon in quick succession.
Told you they were going to happen at some point. I've been to too many Talladega races to expect a super speedway race to run green. I'm gonna tell you right now, way too many. You get 80% of it to run green, and then the last 20%, you get 2 red flags and 7 cautions.
So we'll take another look on what went down here, coming off of turn numbers 3 and 4. As again, it kind of just gets a little bit torn up here as we come around to it. Outside lane, I think, is going to check here. What in the world? That was an echo of the highest order. That spun Gargiulo and more around. You saw Scott Shire taking his hit, and how about that? One car actually got up on top of Gargiulo and nearly rolled over. That's a weird one.
Yeah, I imagine that's not gonna be the last weird one. we're gonna get a handful more. So this will be a little tough. Can't feel a little bit of a clarifying what he was saying earlier. Bassinger teammates with McGill and Thor, but he is not a Team Watson driver, but still teammates in the league. So Bassinger's absolutely still going to help them and work with them here tonight, though. So even if they're not getting their setups from the same place for the open races, they're absolutely working here together tonight for the fixed setups in this thing.
And then behind, Scott Shire checking up for the wreck. Gets run over, and that's a completely separate incident in of itself.
I'll be honest, I think Shire slowed up too fast too quick. They had a huge gap to the main pack, and they're lined up nose to tail right there. I just think he hit the brakes a little bit too hard, kind of like Larson and Darlington yesterday. I feel like you just, coming out of the corner, obviously there's the wreck in front of you, so you're wanting to slow down, but the guys behind you can't see over your spoiler in a lot of scenarios. So I think maybe Shire just hit the brake a little bit too hard there, checking up for the wreck, and unfortunately, it kind of looks like Arca brakes, but I don't put too much fault on those guys behind. I feel like it was just a little bit too heavy of a brake for the wreck. I think he could have gone down on the inside and maybe avoided that. But either way, just bad deal. Not really obviously no malice or anything. Not trying to harp on Shire or anything, but nonetheless, we got 8 laps to go at the line, and I think we're going to get 1 to green there. So 7 laps to go on the restart.
Yeah, 7 laps to go potentially with this one here, as the pack is gonna. Well, we're gonna get set to make some more moves, and here's to hoping the last few laps of this race are gonna go smoothly. You never quite know, though, right? It could really go either way.
I think we're still good. I think we're still due for 2 more cautions, at least. I wouldn't be surprised if we use all 3 green, white checkers tonight, man.
Ye of little faith.
It's a super speedway in the ARC car, man, and these cars put on good shows. They're fun to drive. They're fun to watch, but the spoiler is so big, the draft is so massive that the runs are huge. And whenever the runs are that big, I mean, there's just about nothing you can do to be able to hang on to it. I mean, we see the best drivers in the world wreck at Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta all the time. Whenever they're pushing, you put some gentleman drivers out here on iRacing on a super speedway, and I guarantee you, it's gonna get a little messy out towards the end. But hey, those first 75 laps, man, that was some of the cleanest, best racing I've seen in a super speedway on iRacing. So gotta give him credit for that.
James Affaw still trying to get his Sunoco Race Fuels number 88 Chevrolet fixed up. He was the one that ran into the back of Scott Shire when they were trying to slow up for the accident.
Like that paint scheme from the 88 too. That's a pretty sweet Sunoco number 88. Got the Dale Jr. 88 on the side with,
it is
obviously a paint scheme he never ran, but I like it. That's pretty sharp.
It's not a bad one.
A little scuffed on the front end, I'm sure.
I'm going to give up trying to find a good angle.
Too excited about that. Yeah. Fair enough. It is scuffed on the front end, though. It looks about like Dalton's did earlier whenever it blew up. Now, it took Dalton 20 laps to blow up, and he never got any damage fixed. The 88's on pit road right now getting damage fixed, and he's only got 10 laps. So hopefully for him, he'll be able to finish this thing without the motor expiring on him.
So the 34, the 15, the 78. will be the top 3. Derek Paulson rounds out the top 2 rows. 7 laps. 7's a lucky number in a lot of places, you know. Could be where we go green. We get lucky enough to make it to the white flag.
You got a whole lot more hope in you tonight than you normally do. This is I'm not used to this. You've got so much hope.
I don't
in you guys.
want this season opener to be
believe.
ruined here, is what I'm talking about, Austin.
It won't be ruined. We're going to have a hell of a finish, I believe.
Green flag back in the air this time, by as we're going to jump to green.
15 had the side draft on 34 there on that restart, really holding them narrow, but just could not get through the gears quite as quick. But now he's got Derek Paulson all over the back bumper coming down into turn number 1, and that outside line is stacked up. They've got 5 cars almost all over the back bumper of each other all the way through turns 1 and 2. By the time they hit the back straightaway, they should have a pretty big run. Looking at the 15 on the outside, how far can they get up on these guys? Actually, not that big of a run directly coming off the corner. They were able to hold even all the way through the corner and just nothing coming off. And actually the 15 starting to struggle a little bit.
I think all the kind of moving around from Derek Paulson is not helping Baxter at all. You saw how unsteady he was. He just couldn't do anything with it as a result. Off of turn 4. 6 laps to go at the stripe. Thorpe continues to lead. Paulson, I think, has gotten whatever was going on with him figured out. He is a bit more in line, but he's got to stay there to be able to give that big push through 1 and 2.
Thorpe down to the bottom, leading his teammate, McGill, and then the other teammate leading the outside group. I mean, this is exactly where you want to be. You got 3 team cars leading the first 3 positions, and you're both leading both of the lanes. And, well, that outside line's coming. The 15, Christopher Passenger getting a huge shove. Here comes that push from Derek Paulson I expected on lap 1 of this restart. It's coming down into turn number 3. He just gave a huge shove to the 15, and they're even for the lead.
Even Steven here as the 34 and the 15 going to be trying to make lunges here. Oh, Thorpe gets a bit of a bump from behind. Austin McGill. And meanwhile, the 40 car Coruscant gets up into the outside wall, but he's going to use that to his advantage. Tom Marasco thinking about pushing Coruscant to the front, but he's going to stall out at 10th.
And Passenger able to clear his teammates down to the bottom line, but if I'm one of those team cars, I'm thinking, no, go back to the outside, cover both lanes, have the Guardian on the bottom, and have a Guardian on the top. That's what you want. But instead, Passenger pulling down with his teammates on the bottom, leaving the outside open to Paulson if that outside line can get a big shove. Right now, it's not happening, but we still got plenty of time. Grindy's stuck on the bottom, 5th car in line. Benjamin Lacey gets spun right in front of him from the outside line. 3, 4, 5 cars up in smoke against the outside wall.
And a couple going into the inside wall as well, including Mike Massengill. And for the 2nd year in a row, Mike Massengill going to have a horrid day to close things out. Last year, he ended up tumbling about 18 times by himself in 3 and 4. Today, he is caught up in the big one, and this, I do believe, will force us into overtime.
What an incredible camera angle for you to be on, by the way. That was absolutely perfect, having Benjamin Lacey spinning sideways right across the digger cam. That was fantastic.
It wasn't my choice, but I'll take the credit for it.
Well, you shouldn't have said that. You could have easily taken that credit, and I would have never known.
It was just in the
Nobody in the chat would have ever known. Everybody would have been like, whoa, Nolan Rimple can feel the future. He just knows what camera to be on, but instead you ruined it.
So Marasco tried to go 3 wide up the middle. That's what caused that.
Yeah.
And there you see Sean Williams spinning around, and there's Mike Massengill caught up with Barry, and they're both going to go into the inside wall. Pretty hard hit there for Massengill on the inside.
I feel like Marasco got there, right? Like he's on his inside, and Lacey actually came down a little bit. It's just so tight. The margins are so thin.
Well, remember how quickly you get caught up as well with that draft too, right? Like the draft in these cars, we haven't really talked about it much, but the draft in these things is insane. If you get caught up in a draft, nothing short of tapping the brakes is going to get you out of a run.
Marasco could have gone a little more narrow, pinched these a little bit more. He didn't have a ton of overlap, but I can't put that fully on Ty. I feel like he's down there, and I mean, Lacey comes down like 5 inches, right? It's the smallest bit of movement down the racetrack, but I mean, you're running 200 miles an hour 2 inches apart, and well, if you move 5 inches, of course you're wrecking. So, I mean, it's just at the end of the day, tough racing deal at a super speedway.
So this will be overtime attempt number 1 of what I believe will be 3. And how this race has been turned up on its head. Again, first 75 laps going green, and then we've had 4 yellows back to back to back to back in the back 25.
You've never played Mario Party?
What?
Derek's saying in the chat, you've never played Mario Party, never had a chili dog, and only put ketchup on your
I've
hot
had
dog.
a chili dog. He's lying.
I haven't. I've played Mario Party, and I only put mustard on my hot dogs and hot sauce. So I'm honestly kind of right there with you.
There you go. See, we're both one sauce people. It's just a question of which sauce it is.
I
Which
don't like
condiment
ketchup though.
it
That's a
is.
weird one. That's a weird one. Mustard and hot sauce is where it's at. Ketchup, bleh.
Can't get over the tanginess of mustard. I don't know what it is.
Oh man, the tanginess is fantastic. That's why I burnt the hole in my stomach whenever I was in high school. Doctor told me no more mustard and no more hot sauce, and well, 10 years later, I am still eating both.
Okay, so reference with the chili dog. They put chili in the $2 hot dogs at Bristol, or not at Bristol, at Martinsville, right? I've had a chili dog. I haven't had a hot dog with chili in it, if that makes sense.
That's fine with me. I've never had a chili dog.
I said I'd be willing to give that a try, like a hot dog with chili in it. I'd be willing to give that. That sounds good in theory.
Oh, Madison with the heartbroken emoji after only mustard. I said hot sauce too. You don't like your hot sauce, Madison? Come on. That's not. I might throw a little bit of cheese on there too. You never know. Just depends on how I'm feeling. But yeah, Derek's also saying something about Shrek. I remember we had this conversation already about half a year ago about the Shrek versus Shrek 2. So we're not going to bring that one back.
I've seen Shrek 1, none of the others.
Oh, that hurts me, dude. That hurts so bad.
If it's worth it to you, I've seen both Puss in Boots films, so you got that going for you.
You've seen one Shrek, but you've seen both Puss in Boots?
Listen, the second one was I hate that The Last Wish is a cinematic masterpiece when it is a spin-off sequel of a Shrek film. It has no right to be as good as it is.
Jonathan mentioned the fuel strategy. Probably better to talk about the race rather than hot dogs and Shrek, right, Jonathan? I appreciate you kind of trying to get us back on track here. Coming up to the first green, white, checkered. He's mentioning fuel strategy, and that's a great point, right? We had the pit stops. Everybody put in a certain amount of gas, whether it was enough to get them to the end of the race or to the end of one green, white, checkered. Are they close on gas if they have to get to a second or third green, white, checkered? Maybe, but also they've had so many caution flags since that last pit stop that they probably saved a ridiculous amount of gas under the yellow flags. So I don't know, kind of 50-50 on that for me. You actually just put up a poll. I cannot believe it.
Don't out me like
I
this.
voted without in a heartbeat.
Don't at me with this, okay? You're outvoted, my friend. Democracy has spoken.
It doesn't matter. The majority is typically stupid, so it's okay. It makes sense.
Overtime attempt number 1 coming at you here. Christopher Bassinger and Michael Thorpe Jr. will be running 1-2 as we'll look to close out racing action from Daytona to the National Speedway. Do they make it on one attempt? We'll find out. Thorpe got to the line first. I'll have to watch and see if that's a penalty if it passes before the stride. Right now, though, Darren Paulson going to shove Thorpe clear, and Bassinger dropping like a rock on the inside.
Paulson tried to get to the inside. Thorpe kind of threw a half block. They both got stacked up to the outside, and now both back down to the inside in front of Bassinger. Look at Derek Paulson in that 6. He's been up here all night long. Now all over the back over the 34. The problem is the 34 is 2 behind, and the caution's out again. So the second green, white, checkered, and now we might have to start talking about some of the field strategies Jonathan was talking about. Maybe one more, we might have some issues.
Several cars caught up in this one. A pretty nasty run for several. Benjamin Lacey caught up again. Adrian Loya caught up in this one. And we'll take a look as they were 3 wide coming off the corner, and the 30 car of Carter Phillips. Oh man, the 92 caught some airtime there. Laced up into the outside wall, and the 19 just barely got nicked.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused exactly. That's just a weird accident with the 93 of Carter Phillips through the middle of the corner, just getting. I mean, he's stuck in the middle and he's just kind of wiggling and wobbling. I honestly just think that the car's broken. Right? You see the front end is completely off that thing. I think he's just so damaged from the last wreck that the toes knocked out before this one even happened, or that car was just evil. You could tell. You don't wiggle around the racetrack at the super speedway all by yourself unless your car's broken, right? So I think he had something completely amiss in that thing.
Bob Barry might have just barely escaped through the middle of this one. It's right on board at the number 75. Never mind. He did get into Phillips pretty big.
Not hearing any clutching out of Thorpe. Seen a little bit of clutching out of Paulson. Derek Paulson in second. He's running a little bit slower here. Thought I saw him clutch it up a little bit in the second position. He's definitely running significantly slower than Thorpe under caution here, catching the pace car. So Paulson might be eyeing the fuel a little bit. Not hearing clutches from Bassinger. Never mind, Bassinger fully on the clutch pedal, down to 1,300 RPM. He is clutching in the third place position. So Bassinger absolutely fuel saving. Paulson now on the clutch as well. Thorpe on the clutch. Yeah, everybody down to 300 RPM as soon as they catch the pace car. So a lot of these guys up towards the front, either clutching or turning off their car.
And critically, there's still a chance we get another overtime attempt too.
Yep, exactly. That's why you gotta say. I mean, I thought that maybe there was enough cautions that these guys would have just saved naturally through the yellows we've seen over this last run. But I suppose it either wasn't enough, or it's fringe close enough to where these guys are just a little nervous that they don't have enough for a third green-white checker. So hopefully we won't have to use it. I'm really hoping we don't, but we'll just have to wait and see. Paulson had a great restart there, getting himself up to second, and now he'll be side by side with Thorpe Jr. here on this restart. The only problem is Thorpe's going to have a teammate behind him, and Paulson is going to have one of Thorpe's teammates behind him. So I don't know how much help Paulson's going to get on this restart.
Looking back in our chaotic chat right now, you are still outvoted, 33% to 67 in favor of hot dogs with chili. Derek Watson's going to get fired if he keeps comparing this race to Shrek movies in our chat.
What's wrong with a plain glizzy, guys? What's wrong with a plain glizzy? Smother it in mustard and call it a day.
Oh dear. Green flag gonna get set to come out this time, next time by, as you can already see some of these guys starting to get doubled up. They are eager to go. Now, the last race we had here, I'm just reading this chat and I am having a fantastic time with this. This is awesome.
Let's say this is one of the best chats we've ever had on Green Flag TV. This has been
it's one of the most
fantastic.
active we've
the last
ever
20
had. I want to point out
Exactly.
that since our hot dog discussion started, our audience has nearly doubled. So apparently we're talking about the wrong things during a race.
So, yeah, we need to start titling these races, like the title of the race, like the name of it, and then like featuring hot dog talk or something, like something at the end of it. I don't know. Apparently everybody likes the hot dogs.
Now, here's the big thing. Chicken burger or beef burger?
It's called a chicken sandwich. Not a chicken burger, but hamburger.
Talk to McDonald's.
100% over chicken
Talk
sandwich.
to McDonald's.
Canadian McDonald's, maybe. American McDonald's says it the right way. I think chicken burger.
So the field's going to get set to go back to racing, this time by Michael Thorpe Jr. will have the lead. Derek Paulson back at the number 2 spot. Bassinger 3rd, McGill 4th. And to the 50-odd some people joining us live, welcome to Green Flag TV to the close of this race. Ignore the chat. It's not usually like this.
Don't ignore the chat. It's fantastic. Chicken burger in the chat, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I'm never letting you live that one down.
When you put both. It's a valid option. Don't at me. Pace car's off. We're ready to go. 5 miles potentially left, or we'll have one more attempt at a green-white checkered. Green flags back in the air. Baxter pushing Michael Thorpe Jr. clear.
Oh, Paulson stacked up on the outside too. The outside line did not get going at all. Passenger could get clear before you get down to 1, but the outside line really stacked up because of that issue on the restart. Could give him a big shove coming out of 2 eventually, but oh man, the 94 of Sikorsky just about gave a door to Paulson through 1.
That outside lane's got nothing for it. Now Ethan Sikorsky jumps up high, trying to make the move on Passenger and Thorpe. Down the back straightaway into turn number 3, looking for the white flag this time.
Sikorsky, oh, the Purple Mountain Dew machine also making a move 3 wide. Here comes Austin McGill down to the inside. Paulson to the outside with Eddie Haggy to the rear bumper of the number 6. Who's it going to be coming up to the white flag? 1 more lap to go here. This time by, is the 94, the 6, or somebody else?
White flag in the air. Now the big question, do they have enough to make it back around? Darren Paulson takes the lead up top. He's going to make the run down to the turn of 1. Shoved by Eddie Haggy. Sikorsky down low as the field trying to fight their way through to the point. Looking for the middle one. No! There goes Haggy! Eddie Haggy hard into the outside wall of a turn. Number 2, a big hit into the fence on the back straightaway. Still keeping it green. Now more trouble. More cars spinning, sliding, slamming into the infield. We got 1 hard into the inside wall. Crashing again up into turn number 3. All eyes up front. Sikorsky goes up high. Thorpe goes with him. Passenger looking quicker. Passenger shooting up the middle. Looking for 3 wide to the line. Thorpe trying to get in there. To the stripe. Ethan Sikorsky pulling clear. To the stripe. Passenger snipes it at the last second.
My goodness, what a run from Passenger to get there, down to the bottom of the racetrack, and his teammate got to his back bumper. Austin McGill with the shove out of 4 pushes Passenger to the win here for the first race of the season. Great teamwork by the Guardian team.
That was incredible as Christopher Passenger able to take this one home, and we got a lot to break down on that final lap, and we will do all of that when we have a moment to catch our breath. Now once,
race winner doesn't have a bumper.
He doesn't have to. It was after the flag.
Hey, man, that's the only way that this race could have ended, right? I mean, it had to happen with the leader wrecking across the line. I mean, but what a run it was from Passenger on the last lap. Obviously, everybody lost their mind on that last lap. Wrecks here, wrecks there, wrecks everywhere. Passenger able to squeeze through, and well, I feel bad for Paulson, right? He got through the cleanest out of anybody, had the lead after all that, and just didn't have any help because his help got taken out, and it was ultimately just a sit and duck out of turn number 4. But man, the Guardian guys made it work for them. 1, 3, and 4 for that team. So great job to Passenger, McGill, and Thorpe. And how about Sikorsky? Just about had that race won.
How about that, though, right? The Guardian Esports machine taking home the win for the Guardian Autosport 250 at Daytona in a photo finish. Could not have scripted that better if you tried. And as he burns it down, we'll take a rundown of what happened on that final lap here, and we'll have to kind of back this up one at a time. The first car to fall victim to last lap shenanigans was Eddie Haggy.
Yeah, that was coming off of turn number 2. Eddie, I feel like he did anything wrong. I think just to happen below him, we're going to have to obviously get just another look back just to make sure. And a lot happened on that last lap too, so we're going to have a lot to look back on. But coming out of turn 2,
McGill just got him.
You can see, yeah, McGill came up. I don't know if McGill got a bad shove from Thorpe there and shoved him up the racetrack. I don't quite know. It just looked like a heavy twitch out of 2. You don't typically twitch at super speedways unless you get bumped. So he might have gotten a little shove from Thorpe to the left rear. It was just that he was giving a rough push to the 94, but man, they all came out of it the other side and
right
there,
there,
run it back down to the checkers. But look at Paulson. Look at Paulson. He's trying to break the draft up in the lead, and he just becomes a sit and duck. You just can't hold the lead for half a lap whenever they're lined up behind you pushing, and you're all by yourself. I mean, it's just about impossible. So I feel bad for the 6 there that he didn't have the help. Right, his help got taken out. That's the way these things go on the last lap. And then there's another big wreck in 3 and 4, and then obviously the run down to the finish, just insane between the 3 Guardian guys and Ethan Sikorsky.
You saw the hard hit into the inside wall that several drivers took, and Cody Kinsey nearly took one guy out, and Scott Shire, man, Shire just never had the race right. I mean, he got through in the big wreck, but he got caught up in another one in the middle of 3 and 4, right at the buzzer. I mean, that is such a tough break, and right there, you see the 40 car kind of bounce up and then take others with them, and at that point, it's just on, and now it's every man for himself. And then coming off that final critical corner, McGill's out in front, but they made contact. He got a little bit unsettled. Thorpe trying to go up the middle, wasn't happening, and there is your margin of victory, as by about half a car length, Christopher Bassinger takes his first High Tide Racing League win.
And what a block it was from Sikorsky into 3 to give him a chance. It looked like Thorpe was going to get to his outside or get side by side with him, and Sikorsky threw one a hell of a block entering turn number 3 to be able to keep that position over him. It's just coming out of 4, man. He didn't have the numbers, right? He was going against 3 cars all by himself. If it's anybody other than Thorpe behind him, maybe they give him a shove to the line, but I honestly don't. I think Thorpe didn't want to help him, right? I think he was maybe laying back a little bit at that point. He had conceded that he wasn't going to win the race, so he was wanting his team to win it. But hey, that's super speedway racing, man. That's how it goes. You got to have teammates. You got to have friends. And tonight it was the Guardian guys that had them all up at the front at the right time.
Can't win them all, can you? So a stellar job. And sorry, this is actually his second ever league win as a whole. So do with that what you will, right? I mean, it's best HTRL finish as a whole, but we'll take a rundown now of your official post-race results here this afternoon. It was a wild way to close out the night, and it heads up by Christopher Bassinger with his first ever race win in HTRL competition. Sikorsky picks up second, McGill in third, Michael Thorpe Jr. will be in fourth, with Derek Paulson back in fifth. Nick Osepak will finish in sixth, with Joe Anise in seventh. Benjamin Lacey in 8th, then Brian Dees in 9th, and Jeremiah Hobbs rounds out the top 10.
Conrad Whedon in 11th, Michael Ashmore 12th, Sean Williams in 13th, Kevin Coburn 14th, Nicholas Coressel in 15th, Carter Phillips, Caden Gargillo, Jaden Hopp, Scott Shire, and Eddie Hagee round out the top 20.
Moving on down through the field to the back 20 in this one. It was Matt Crockett with Cody Kinsey and Brad Lawson to finish the last cars on the lead lap. Then you had Ty Marasco and Bob Berry finishing laps down with Adrian Loya, Paul Satmary, and now we're the cars that did not finish this race with Hayden Wheeler, Mike Massengill, and Connor Gibson.
In 31st, we got Matt Sotomayor with Michael Keithley right behind, James Ifall, Anthony Cameron, and David Leakey round out the top 35 with Jason Greenwell, Kevin Foster, William Turnbull, Dustin Ping, and Wyatt Walker rounding out the top 40, while the rest of the field is Dalton Kilrow with an engine issue, Aaron Smith exiting early as well, and unfortunately Jonathan Canfield exited before this race got to start, finishes in 43rd.
What a wild race we had in this one. I mean, that was pure insanity from start to finish, but a fantastic race as a whole, and we'll be able to give a chance now, give a chit chat here to all the drivers that come home at the end of the night. We'll start it off with Christopher Bassinger picking up the race win this afternoon in the Guardian Autosport number 15 Mustang. And Chris, a wild win for you this afternoon. You steal it by the skin of your teeth. Talk us through that overtime attempt there coming to the line.
You know, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you guys so much for what you guys do. You always put on a good show week in, week out. I know in my free time I'm always watching Green Flag TV, always. So I really appreciate what you guys do, Austin, Nolan. But I mean, yeah, I didn't expect to come home with a win when we fell that far back on that restart there. Fell really far back, maybe 10th or something like that. You know, avoided the wreck in front of me. And I just, you know, out of 3, I just sent it middle. And I said a prayer, sent it middle. Ethan, he really did give it to me. I had Austin behind me, but, you know, Ethan gave it to me. He didn't come down and block, really. I think he trusted Thorpe a little too much there. And props to Ethan. I'm not trying to say anything bad about him, but, you know, he raced me very clean. But the push from Thorpe just wasn't enough. I thought I didn't have it at the line there, but Austin came through with a big shove. Austin McGill with Guardian Esports, my team. You know, it just means a lot coming out here and getting my first win in this series. You know, it's been 4 seasons, obviously. This is probably like my 5th race or something, but, you know, Daytona or not Daytona, it still means a lot to me.
Overall, it was a good show for you, and of course, you talk about this being only your 7th race in total in HTRL competition. We saw you a few times in Season 1, but we haven't seen you around since then. Big overall championship hopes. You started off with a win. Do you reckon the title push is on the line?
I think so. You know, I'm going to be here full time. I'm going to really push for it. I think I got it in me to make something happen here, but I don't want to get this, you know, let this get to my head. Still going to stay humble. You know, it's Daytona. Maybe go get a win at another track, maybe Atlanta next week, or some short track. That would mean a lot as well. So just got to stay humble here. I don't want to put anything out there too early, but I'm definitely going to be thinking about it, that championship push for sure.
Well, looking forward now to the races coming on up. Atlanta Motor Speedway will be the next one down the line. It's the older scan, though. How do you reckon this car is going to shake up there?
You know, I don't know about these ARCA cars. I don't know really how the tire wear is. I don't really know anything. I mean, this is my first time ever racing them, so I don't know anything about them. You know, a lot of practice will probably go into it. Before Atlanta, I know, you know, Hot Atlanta, you know, I run a lot of Xfinity there. Have a lot of good run in Xfinity Hot Atlanta, so I know those tires burn up. But like I said, not sure about this ARCA car. I don't know if it has less power, more power. I don't really know how the tires are going to wear, so there's a lot of practicing. I couldn't really tell you just yet.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck regardless when we swing out to Hampton, Georgia. Congratulations on a stellar race win this afternoon, and we'll see you.
Could I give a few shout outs?
Absolutely.
First and foremost, I just want to give the biggest thank you to my girlfriend in the chat. No matter what it is, Madison, she's always supporting me through everything. Been through a lot. There was a lot of reasons why I was not racing with us or with High Tide. A lot of hospital stuff, a lot of issues with my tonsils, in and out of the hospital. So she supported me through all that. She stuck through this entire thing and supported me the entire time. I saw it in the chat, and that was a big thing for me. So I appreciate her so much, Madison. And Guardian Autosport, of course, doing the most. We really controlled the field today, and I just want to give the biggest shout out to them. And TWRS, Team Watson, always providing the best setups, making us a better team overall. And I really appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much.
Tell her to put some mustard on our hot dogs.
I don't know if she likes mustard. I don't know. Does she say
it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. She gave me some crap.
No mustard.
She needs to put some mustard on our hot dogs.
No mustard. Ketchup only. Ketchup only.
Hey,
we don't do mustard
my people. My people.
We do not.
All right,
do
Nolan.
mustard.
I'm not
That
coming
is
back next
disgusting.
week. You can find somebody else.
I mean, it's yellow. I don't know what to tell you. You know.
That was Christopher Bassinger out of Tucson coming home #1 this afternoon. We'll bring down Ethan Sikorsky, one of his best finishes of his HTRL career. He stands by with Austin Edstrom.
Ethan, it was oh so close for you tonight. That last lap was, I don't even have a word for it, man. I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous the entire way through. Going into 3, you threw a ridiculous block that worked perfectly to where I thought you were going to be the man to beat, but then coming off of 4, I think you just got outnumbered by a couple team cars. Was there anything you could have done different in hindsight?
Probably got down to the bottom. I feel like if I was just clear, I just got down to the bottom, I would have probably won that, but I was more focused on Michael just giving me a push. I didn't even see Christopher just shoot it through the middle and have a huge run with Austin. But man, that was a heck of a finish. That was so cool.
Well, Ethan, I feel like we kind of had a tale of 2 races here tonight, right? The first 75 laps, clean and green, the most, I mean, simple super speedway race you've ever seen, but it was fun to watch. And then at the end, I mean, it was just absolutely pandemonium, absolute chaos. What were you thinking through those last 20 laps with all those cautions? Were you just nervous that you were going to be caught up in one, or were you just completely thinking about, you know, your positioning on how to avoid the wrecks? You know, what was kind of running through your mind to be able to put yourself towards the front of the field to give yourself a shot here at the end?
It was just picking the right lines and just trying to anticipate when the wreck was going to happen and where it was. I was just more focused on trying to just keep my spot, make sure that I wasn't going to, you know, get taken out or get strung out either. So I just stuck where I was and just yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen here.
Well, Ethan, you did a great job picking your way through the field, surviving the wrecks, getting yourself up towards the front with a shot to win this thing, and only losing out by 24 thousandths of a second. So, I mean, it's a heck of a start to the season for you. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we cut this interview off?
Thanks, Ben Lacey, for putting this league together, and everyone else for putting this league together. Y'all put together a great league, and it's a lot of fun coming out on Mondays.
Well, Ethan, congratulations once again on a great finish, and looking forward to seeing if you can maybe make that thing one place better next week whenever we go racing in Old Atlanta.
Hopefully. Thank you.
All right, Ethan. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
That was your third place finisher of Ethan Sikorsky. Next up, we're going to be pulling down Austin McGill. He'll be talking to Nolan Rimple.
Austin, a stellar drive for you, plus 28 on the day. Had to really fight back to get that strong finish, but you're able to pull it off and finish third. Race win just out of reach this afternoon, but did you think the move was possible coming off of 4?
Yeah, I do think the move was there. But I don't think it was necessary. I was more than happy to push one of my teammates to the win. We stuck together all race, so I'm just happy that one of us was able to bring it home.
Kind of talk us through this run as a whole, because you were up near the front, you were near the back, you had to dodge a few wrecks along the way, you were out in front of a few wrecks along the way. You kind of were just about around anything that happened tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty eventful all the way around, I'd say. We try to stay together as a team. Try to not get involved in too many incidents. Tried to relax near the beginning and slowly work our way towards the front. Yeah, I'm just glad we made it that far. We had 3 of our guys in the top 4. So I think that was a success.
Looking forward to the rest of the season. Historically, with these guys, you've been a part-time runner. If you are only running part-time again, what days do you have circled, or is it going to be a full-time season for you this time around?
I will be full-time this season.
Ooh, yes. Yes. Championship predictions then for you?
I don't think I'll win it. There's a lot of competitive guys in here. A lot of quick guys. I know they're going to be competitive week in, week out. Short track, super speedway, mile and a half. I know they'll bring the heat. So, just got to practice, work with the team, and see how far we can go.
All right, well, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing then next week in Hampton, Georgia. For now, congratulations on taking home another stellar third place, and we'll see you next week then in Atlanta.
Thank you.
Austin McGill comes home number 3 this afternoon, and that is going to be that then for our podium interviews. Austin, an insane way to kick off the season this afternoon. I think you and I are both in agreement that could not have gone any better than it did. I mean, what a race, and we're in for a wild season. That's how things are going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can ask for much better of a way to kick off a season. I know the last 25 laps, were pretty caution-filled, but, I mean, it's a super speedway race, and we're in a brand-new car that we're not really used to yet. So, honestly, a lot of these guys probably first time running the super speedway with the ARCA car. So, for us to run 75 laps green to start this thing was magical to watch. It was fantastic, and although we got the cautions at the end that kind of chopped up the race, it was still unbelievably exciting. And then that last lap, I mean, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, Christopher Bassinger with his first league win here in High Tide. I mean, what a way to do it off of turn number 4, passing Derek Paulson, passing Ethan Sikorsky to be able to get that win and getting the push from his teammate. I mean, fantastic race all the way through. Cannot wait for next week.
Before we get to next week, though, we got a lot more action still coming up here on Green Flag TV. As on Tuesday, it's going to be the Ole Miss Rail Cup Series swinging on now to the Lady in Black. We'll see who can tame Darlington Raceway. The BSR Simulation Expo and the Speed Cup Series both swinging out to Bristol Motor Speedway on Wednesday and Thursday. Sandwiched between them with the Beer League race with their preseason run at Ulstrasleben. And then, of course, the SRA IL Truck Series has their Avondale 150 Truck Finals out on Saturday night, where 3 drivers less than 10 points separated enter one final race, and we'll see which one of them walks out a champion. The SRL Xfinity Series out for round number 9 at Le Mans with no chicanes on Sunday afternoon. That will then take us around to HTRL Guardian Premier Series action again for race number 2. We go racing in Atlanta. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, you can check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. As always, my name was Nolan Rimple alongside Austin Edstrom. What a wild way to start out racing action here on Monday Night Prime Time. Could not have hoped for a better season opener, and if this is anything to go by, this coming season, it is going to be a doozy and could be the most exciting season that HTRL has boasted yet, especially on Green Flag TV. We'll see you next week when we swing out to Hampton, Georgia.